В днешното видео ще видите ден 2 от LAN евента и който им прибра 450 000 долара. Ако се кефите на това, което правя, може да използвате сак Ivcho, Python Shop, така помогнете изключително много на мен канал, за което или просто може да гледате моето едно канал, като напишете Ivcho горе ляво в търсачката и намерите мапа ми. Днес също така хоствам турнир, така че ако искате да се записвате, влизате в Discord и четете в хаштаг турнамент с 15:30 почва гейм номер 1, така че прочетете и правилата, за да не бъдете баннати. Аз случайно, ако сте по-ефтини ви бък Майнкрафт, спемам акаунт тип Крю, ако е по-ефтино и всякакви неща, може да посетите сайта на ТТЕГА, също така като си купите някакви неща, кликате на количката, въведете код, пишете Ивчо и имате 5% отстъпка. Но сега без повече приказки, нека започваме с самите игри, също така ще ги оставя всички, но ще запиша и EndGame, ако ви се гледа само той. Аре, гейм 1, let's go, guys. Кой къде ще пада? The Hive. 4 тима летят на там. Колко ще спрат на The Hive?
Everything that these players have just to take them down, let alone steal away that top spot.
It's always going to be a battle of mental fortitude, though, in a 2-day format, Jacob. And with the whole night to review, I'm expecting to see a lot of adaptations and Pixie already feeling a little bit of pressure. Tags applied from a distance, but this is what
Ол спална кой го взима при Докси. Найс хит. Два хита. Nice.
This could be everything right now, but Chino, he's trying to wrap around. Chino knows we might as well just finish this elimination off. We don't want to allow any kind of revive opportunity to elimination.
Даже го рескат, може и 3 в 1 да е. Чичо на 1. Може би това е за Фридокси от спална, да. Найс. Те са на четвърто място на Куизи, никой не е паднал. Unconsa.
Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache. A little bit of rumblings taking place all throughout the course of the early morning hours and even leading into this morning inside the player practice room. You heard the possibilities. Maybe Queasy gets contested, but that's not going to be the case, at least not for Game 7. Same scenario taking place for Higgs, Iyamzo, and Clicks. And keep in mind, Jacob, these guys are still well within striking range of top 5.
Yeah, 8th place basically to end the day yesterday, and it's kind of building momentum, building confidence. These guys have all played on the global stage before. They just need to go ahead and channel it. This is day 2, the last chance, 6 games. They just have to leave no regrets left on that table, just like this team here. Contested, uncontested, they made it work no matter what went their way from the Kappa factory, and now they are just a
Ридокс имат голям шанс за second place, брат, ако не умрат нито една оспалн.
Depending how Swizzy, Quizzy, and Mustache continue to perform throughout the day.
And while being uncontested is likely ideal for Seti Panzer and Yapko, it does force them to have to revisit where is our search strategy going to come into play. They're not the only ones that have had to take those instances and just rewrite how they want to work it through. Darn Demon's Picks, on the other hand, just lurking, waiting, farming, an epic whale with a dastardly plan.
Well, you said it yourself, lurking, but from one team to another, you're kind of seeing the change up of strategies. Instead of finding out over at Dystopia, it looks like Epic, Paper, and Victor V are ready to make moves. 72 points after day number 1 is a hole that they didn't even expect themselves to be in, especially to start the day. It was Victor V that stopped the momentum from building from Peterbot himself by taking him out in a crucial 1v1 to save Epic well because he was down.
It actually looks like Epic Well, Paper, and Victor V might have visited that bird a little bit too late. I drop and Co likely already stripped most of the metal here, and it's just the scraps left behind. Paper, Victor V, and Epic, they didn't exactly have the most primed up loadouts, so they've got to be really wary of that team on Shining Span.
Yep, just kind of taking the risk of not being able to get loot early on to try to get a fight to go their way. We'll see if it does continue to work out, but Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual still spinning that wheel, landing at the outskirts, not contesting Dystopia, and quickly moving on over towards Foxy Floodgates. You know that Visuals, Braids, and Minish typically do land over here. They're already gone position, and that team in front that they're hunting down. But from one side of the map to the next, the contested fights still continue. Adapter landing good shots on the pump, forcing him back, and he's kind of separated from the rest of the team. That's going to give Adapter just a little bit of confidence to move on over. But since he doesn't know exactly where all three members of this tree are at, it's just a little bit too risky for him to keep that aggression up as Baka, Pars, and Pump all drop down low to that low ground just to refarm what little materials that they do have.
Problem is, both of these teams are now rather isolated, Jacob. They spent a decent amount of time in this position, way far east of everybody else. So now Adapter, Mansoda, they don't even have any materials. They were trying to pounce on this opportunity, but when the time to elimination isn't wrapped up nice and pretty like what we witnessed to Intuition and Prodoxy, you just get these drawn-out exchanges, and it's not necessarily going to benefit either team because they're both really low on materials. They're so far out of the way compared to everybody else. They still gotta push in eventually, and they're not really going to get a whole lot off of the other party, even if one does win the fight. So Adapter, Mansoda, Balor, they spot it out. They know they can't afford to spend any more time. They need to create some space.
Yeah, and I kind of like what you said, where there's not enough resources as well. And you got to realize, even if they do win this fight, especially Baka, Pars, and Pump, they are missing chunks of shield, a little bit of HP, so Storm Surge is not going to be much, even with that elimination there on the Mansoor. Not sure that he didn't get the memo that the rest of his team already rotated out, but that's a blessing in disguise for Baka, Pars, and Pump. Just a little bit of Surge, but as I was saying, it's not a ton. So their job isn't done just yet. They're going to have to be predators in this lobby to try to hunt and figure out where they could start to accumulate that damage, because yesterday that was one of their weaknesses. Just like a few of the teams in this lobby, falling below that damage threshold, you kind of lose control over your own game. You have to push teams in which you normally wouldn't push.
The elimination feed certainly lighting up though with a chunk of Nox, and Bolts loses his shield, but based off of what we just saw inside of this Surge base, don't think that Bolts is all that pressed for it. Pixie, Vanya, Marius just taking their time. These pre-established Surge bases, you have a pretty good idea of where other teams are going to be at, so you know that you're very likely to be able to farm a few Surge tags if you just set up in advance.
Activity still going on this side of the map. It's actually going over back towards that OXR HQ. Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual continuously trying to hunt down Visuals, Braids, and Minish. But Razzle, Tate, and Rido, they're also rotating on over from Dystopia City. And this is kind of becoming a cluster of teams trying to take this high ground position outside of the OXR HQ, which I can understand why, but you're seeing Peterbot, Cold, Ritual, and some of the other teams choose, hey, maybe this is not worth it. We still need damage elsewhere, and as long as both teams stay boxed up, there's no opportunity for said damage.
Problems definitely occurred though for Visuals, Braids, and Minish. Vaito, Tate, they're also fully aware of the fact that Peterbot's team very likely still lurking nearby, so it's not like they're gonna have a smooth exit. But Victor B, Epic Whale, they found themselves a little bit too tangled up here. Reek, Curly, and Cooper certainly have a little bit more priority positioning, but Victor B, he's got to try and hold things down. He wants to provide a little bit of relief towards Epic Whale. They just don't have a whole lot to work with in comparison to Curly, who's just trying to charge, see if he can run Epic down, but Reed now taking the forefront positioning. Reed instead.
Wow, Reed mu krásná игра-то.
Behind is Epic, now scattered, but that's breathing room.
Yeah, and this is just a tough position. You're seeing both Victor B and Epic Well's loadout. They only have bandages, which is really not going to help them in this situation. No extra shields, which is just one pump away from going down. Victor B and him have to figure it out, but Benno, Flixie, Vico, they're trying to do the same thing. Not necessarily fighting the same off spawn, even with 2 eliminations, quickly rotating away from that cannon's crossing and end up in another exchange against one of Asia's finest, Buyuriru and his whole trio. But you can see neither team just kind of going all in, just trying to end the fight quickly. There is a little bit of elevation difference, but that's going to go over to Venno, Flixie, and Vico. So now they have the options, the choices of what to do next.
The key part, though, about Venno, Vico, and Flixie is you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile here. And they know that they applied a good amount of damage against Marim and Buyuriru, so they could be content with the surge that they built up. But knowing those guys, they're definitely out for more. They want at least just 1, 2, even 3 eliminations. But Maneem, Wixie, they're gonna actually get up close and personal, but Wixie bit off more than he could chew. Vico's gonna have no problem shutting that one down, and it's Flixie credit for 2, Benno with 1, but a nice cleanup all the way through.
Literally just kind of went for an all-or-nothing play, and just the team's timing wasn't there. Maneem got kind of shut down. Buyuridu wasn't able to put down pressure because he had the DMR, but now it's turning around on him. Vico, Flixie, Benno, they're dropping down from above. They know they have a huge numbers advantage, and that's why Vico's playing from the top down, trying to cut off any paths, any escape through towards the top, takes a shot, reassesses the situation, knowing his teammates do have the pressure. It's going to allow him to heal just a little bit. It's fine, just getting a good shot. Buyuridu doing the same thing. Benno's being forced back, but the numbers are just way too much for them to handle. Vico gets the last laugh on the Buyuridu.
If it had been anyone else, might have been a little bit more worried there for Benno, but we knew he still had Flixie and Vico to back him up, no problem. Only 52 HP remains though for Medium. Flixie, Benno, Vico decides to stick around. They might realize there's a third party that could easily roll on over, but they found the eliminations they needed to, so now they can just look to cut off Anon in the process.
Yeah. They got that same feeling that you did. Somebody might be pushing over. The fight might have taken way too long, drawn a lot of attention, and yes, it actually has. All the way from across the ocean, OCE from that low side on the map. Storm Surge is going to be one of their biggest worries dropping there if the zone does pull towards the top. They really have to start to figure out a way to take advantage of it. And with 2 teams here, Vico, Flixie, and Benno, and a solo player that they did leave behind down below, they're just kind of waiting here, getting information. They know Ivchou's team also lands on this side of the map, so they're trying to figure out where is the easiest possibility to get that damage.
It's just no secret. Anon was very vocal about the fact that he is not a fan of the way Surge has been working zone by zone. Up 1,001, down 300 and another. It's the nature of the game, and it can be brutal at times, but that's exactly why we see them trying to be more proactive, trying to create those aggressive Surge instances. But I'm not sure Benno, Vico, Flixie is the team that you want to take your chances on.
I feel like this is the team right here.
Pojo.
Agers in
Pojo je tradal strašne samo.
After day number 1, and I feel like the majority of the community had this team in their top 5, in their top 3, possibly winning the entire thing. But now, Acorn, one of the best IGLs, Pojo, one of the best fraggers in the game, and then Agers, the guy that can do it all. They're really going to be tested throughout these 6 games, just like Cammy, already eye drop, haven't left their drop spot, not any bit, but this fight continues to come to them, from Epic Whale's team to Tay-Tay's team. They're all just trying to get as much Storm Surge's damage because they know that's the kind of currency, that's the flexibility that allows you to rotate early when the zone pulls towards the north. That's something you can focus on versus everybody else.
But these kind of scrappy box fights are exactly where Asia tends to shine, and that's why we see a little bit of reservation there from iDrop, Cammy, and Hottie. They know what kind of position they're currently holding on the leaderboard. They don't want to give it up. Pojo, Agers, and Acorn, though, they just continue to take advantage of all the objectives surrounding them, even if they have to make some earlier rotates. We saw how difficult their day 1 started out, but by the end of it, we started to see that little bit of a bounce back factor, Jacob, and now with the whole night to actually hit the VODs, I'm so certain that Acorn has definitely cooked up something.
Yeah, in this game round, they did actually get the medallion that lands at Demon's Debris. They have the Mythic, and because of that, they have the A rank, which unlocked that vault, and they have the exotic as well. The Wrecker Revolver that shoots faster with every hit fire, so that's something that we're really gonna have to watch out for, especially if they're looking for a comeback today through eliminations. Savage, Chat, Reason trying to do the same thing, slow to rotate on out. They're prioritizing getting Storm Surge. A lot of these teams that are slow to rotate, those are the ones that are making a focus on this fight.
This is a big turnaround right now, though. It's only Cammy and iDrop left to duke it out up against some of Asia finest, but they're going for the double revive. It's a little bit greedy, but Tay-Tay, he's actually the only healthy member. They're gonna opt for possibly trading out revives, but no, Tay-Tay recognizing I'm just too far away. Crash pad out, going for the escape, but iDrop and Cammy aren't gonna be able to give pursuit, at least not right away, but there's nowhere left for him to run. Tay-Tay, he's just gonna have to full on bail.
And sometimes you just really don't get a choice. They're trying to just bring all the loot back into their box. They know other teams potentially nearby, but Hottie's the one that really kind of opened up that opportunity, gets the knock, and the rest of the team was there. And that's a confidence boosting feeling, knowing your entire team has your back. You can make a move.
Ликс
Sometimes would even outsay anything.
244 точки, бата.
Pigs and Yamzo. Kind of, I wouldn't say changing up
Мистер
their overall
Savage не
strategy,
създаде.
but all three of them as a team, they land towards those RVs just outside of the Supernova Academy. They get as much of that brick as possible, which kind of maxes out for the most part, and then they go and loot Supernova Academy. Try to get all the loot. I know everybody hears the crowd roaring right now. Swizzy, Mustache, and Queasy, business as usual, getting their early game storm surge, getting their early game rank ups, and then accessing the ball.
And the main
Суизи отново с М-ката си му дава.
Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache are running this back as if we're still in day one, despite it being game 7. And if nobody's going to force them to change their strategy, it's hard to believe that Queasy won't end up taking over height later on.
Definitely a possibility there in first. They don't have to change up anything because nobody even looked up yesterday. But Cooper and Curly find themselves in a peculiar situation. 2v3 versus the NA West champs, Baka Pars and Pump. But Curly's doing a good job holding down his walls, holding down his defensive and fighting back, forcing the Flowberry Fizz out on the other side. The triple hill is going to get him back into action that much quicker. But they're just at the edge of zone with not far to rotate before they make their way in. That's going to give the luxury to stay a little bit longer, but a massive haymaker onto Pars. That's going to slow things down just a little bit and continue to build the confidence for Cooper and Curly.
Cooper and Curly are really having their mettle tested this weekend. It's so unfortunate that they had to leave Bree behind, but they are still a powerful duo that can definitely pop off with a strong performance here. One singular clutch could be all the momentum shift that they need. Cooper has been here so many times before, Jacob, and he knows that they've got to try and capitalize, but they have no idea what kind of duo is crouch lurking behind them. Balor and Adapter, they've also encountered some early struggles, losing Mansoor since he didn't get the memo. And Adapter, Balor, they don't even get the chance. They thought they were going to get the jump on Cooper and Curly, but instead it's been 180.
They're almost 500 damage below the threshold. Cooper Curly, they don't see if it activates. They won't be able to get that visual, but they will hear the shields crack if it does come down to it. But they're just kind of hunkered down below, biding their time as much as possible. Time that they may not necessarily have. They have extra shields in their loadout, but they don't have any extra HP heals. So sooner or later, they might be pushed into a situation where they have to get eliminations, especially now that a whole nother duo starts to make their way in. That's Tay-Tay and his teammate, but up goes Cooper without no HP. Exactly what I said, they have to go for eliminations, but Valor is at least going to be able to steal away one. That's one less chance, but Storm Surge activates, making it just a little bit easier as Cooper and Curly have to go, and they have to go now. It's a 2-tick. They're on the clock. If a Cooper does it, he dunks on him from above to get the siphon.
But the same can't be said for Curly. He has no siphon to profit off of just yet. They're going to have to find another elimination. They're going to have to find it now. Adapter has fallen. Cooper and Curly just continuing to make something out of nothing here. But Balor, that surge tick is just destroying him. The shield crack goes up yet again. He's using every single bit of healing resources he has, and it's still likely not going to be enough.
Yeah, like I said, the shield's cracked. That's a giveaway for Curly and Cooper, and immediately turned around, tried to land shots. Balor's doing just that. He barely gets himself above that damage threshold, and he knows he cannot go back for his teammates' reboots card. This is a solo journey from here on out for him, and he does some good damage yet again. Will he pick up the elimination? We'll wait and see, but Pixie, Vanya, and Marius, you can see the zone just outside of OXR HQ. These guys have been smooth sailing so far in this game.
Marius and Pixie being the top 2 players for shotgun damage and moving zone says enough, Jacob. These guys have been getting fraggy, and they plan to continue their streak, especially with all the company that's starting to dogpile around them.
And I believe Pars both going down, looking to get cleaned up by Chap, Savage, and Reason. 410 damage above the threshold. Slap dab in the middle of the zone as well. Cold, Ritual, and Peterbot. I was talking to them before today. They didn't have too many game plans other than just play better. They know their performance yesterday
No
was
way.
abysmal. And
Redox.
that's just a huge
Del numero.
fire underneath their belt to do
Ayun
just
ang-
that and have a good comeback. And Chino's just fighting on the other side. That's Anon all the way from OCE, but his teammates are coming in. Backup has arrived. Chino's just getting pushed back further and further. Resign's starting to feel that confidence, but there's too many players all around. Prodoxy surprising Resign's, catching him off guard. Multiple players just trying to push in, but Prodoxy making sure to save the day. Down goes Resign's, and up goes their chances to win this fight.
Just look at the way that Prodoxy
but
and Chino
problem
played
now,
this box fight, though. So many separate angles opened up at once. Resign's HP just disappeared. Prodoxy and Chino still looking to try and hold things down too here, Jacob. They're fully aware of the fact that they've done enough to at least push Oshi back temporarily, but that's not to say that it has had the same effect on the Polish counterparts directly next to where they're located.
They do have that extra med kit down below, just in case. Anon, Alex, they're trying to come back for revenge. Chino's going to be the first one to go down. Well played shot by Alex. He had all the power behind that one, forcing Prodoxy to try to back up and get the revive. The audio visual is coming out. Prodoxy trying to reposition. He has to let the cone go. He has to let his teammate go down. That one's quickly cleaned up, but that doesn't mean he has to stop fighting back. With 2 versus 1 in this situation, and him being slightly on the edge of zone, if not out, he has to start getting information that is vital to his success. And even one more team going down, he'll start to get placement points on top.
Problem as a solo, though, is that there's only so many directions you can look at once, and overhead, Swizzy, Mustache, Queasy, they're already starting to break through. You saw that first knock take place right now for Swizzy, and he's still after
Swizzy is lucky one on Toyer. Peterbot умира. Гледай, бах чопи е работа.
Yeah, multiple players, and he has that exotic, which is so much damage, just tearing through those builds. But you can see it, Sony's the zone, pulled on over. They kind of brought themselves back. Probably Queasy making the call. We have to start to rotate. This zone is vital for our success. If we can get high ground here, that could be our 4th game win. But one team's having an easy game, Ivcho and Clicks. With one of them being down, Ivcho's trying to get him back up. They have 1 crash pad left in their inventory, 6 splashes for the HP if they need it, some Flowberry Fizz, but it is a far pull for a duo to have.
A little bit sad there for Mustache. He really wanted to see if he could get a good chunk out of Acorn, Agers, and Boyo on that rotate, but crash pads are out along with the Flowberry Fizz. Ivcho's immediately going to try to claim a position towards the front side, but holds back for a second here. A little bit split from Clicks. Clicks going to build right back up where his teammate's at. He needs some of these chuck splashes, but of course, another rotate. There is no time to stop, especially with Queasy.
Queasy отново на хайварът.
That happened so fast. You might have missed it because now there's a whole other team on top. They're getting battled out, chopped down even once, but the consistency for them to remain in the clouds is absolutely amazing. Swizzy, Mustache, and Queasy making it look easy down below. Everybody is at their disposal, and this is where we know what they do. They just target out second
Mr.
height
Savage,
over and over. They reconnect along the way, so teams are going to have to think of something different here compared to yesterday.
Savage, Chef, and Reason seem like they're a little bit more intent on just trying to stake out these front side rotations, but for Clicks and Ivcho, it's likely going to be a backside of zone play. They're going to have to find a refresh. They have hardly any materials to work with. Ivcho doing what he can to drop whatever build he can for Clicks, but there's nowhere inside of these lower layers. Everybody is frazzled here. Yapko, Panther, and Seti also in a very strong top 3 position, and they want to hold on to it, Jacob.
They don't want to let it go. They worked way too hard to get this far. To go down here in 15th place. Storm Surge still active, forcing players to fight one another. Even though they have to rotate to the zone, they're trying to keep their 3rd place spot intact. They're only 8 points behind as we stand in this game, but Mustache, Swizzy, and Queasy are just double tarping, making sure to reinforce, but Venno, their two are trying to look up. At one point or another, maybe 2 zones ago, they were the team on high ground.
Oh, Acorn high.
They're ready to battle it out. M8 versus M8 as Poyo's ready to take on the competition, but toward the backside of zone, they chop it
Spliff
all
на хаги.
down. Squeezy, he saw that one coming from a mile away.
That's exactly why they had Mustache over ahead, still looking to try and build things out here.
И
But
тримата
Squeezy
са живи.
blocking off Acorn so
Отново друг
professionally.
сплив.
He's been chopped.
Ейджърт умира.
Falling down. Agers has been eliminated. Boyo and Acorn trying to go right back up on the
На
fight.
Куизи
But it's Malabou.
триото. О, Малебука.
It's Ping. They're the ones that have fully overthrown.
Суизи умира.
They're the ones
Суизи го убива,
that have
Суизи, брат,
finally
през
their
ес.
first
От
victory
по-леме.
royale.
Mustache Squeezy still as a duo.
Обаче се реснаха.
First place spot. Kanada is gonna go down.
Ау, Суизи умира пак. Анлоки. Все пак топ 10.
Not only takes a big shot, he loses Swizzy across the way. Mustache has to figure out a way to reunite into the same box. They do that very, very quickly.
Много да е. Найс.
Squeezy goes down. Mustache gets the elimination, but he's all by himself.
The family sacrifice might have been everything.
Няма значение да умре. Сега пак има добра игра на тях.
Just trying to block off every possible angle. He knows there might be an opening, a teammate underneath that's just so much worse off than he currently is. But instead, it's both Kanada and Rapid. He's looking to play spoiler, but he can't get enough damage.
Топ 7. Малебука на хай. Отдолу Мистер Савич са живи, освен него. Вико, 6 кила, общо 10 имат. Много мерстач. No way. Топ 7. О, Мистер Савич е жив. И чап. По-скоро Мистер Савич е бил в зоната. Малебука като долу на хай. Взима нок на Канада. Канада няма да игра над топ 10, братле. Малебука дропват. Мале. Кил след кил. 2 в 1 в 1. Леле! Нямат мисля шот, като слезнаха и всеки кил, всеки шот е един кил, брат. На тях по-лепът. Добра ера. Бах ти победата, бате.
Just one question really from me. What took you so long?
I don't know. We were not sure what to do on first day, but maybe we'll figure out something today.
We definitely figured something out. You managed to take the high ground from the high ground kings led by Queasy. Was this something you worked on, managing to take high ground from the top spot?
I mean, it was pretty high ground this game, so we just climbed it.
So do you have the Americans to thank for taking it first and chopping the boys on top?
No, we just saw.
Just everyone. So why would you I'm gonna actually head over to Chopper.
What? Do you have a word for this crowd that are supporting you and your teammates?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming out, supporting us and watching us play. It means the world. Hopefully we'll be able to clutch up and come back today.
And do you think you'll keep the consistency now that you start the day with an amazing victory royal? Do you think you'll keep your consistency?
Yeah, of course. If we just get some good soulfuls, I think we'll be able to win this day and come back.
Malabuka, just before I let you get ready for the next game, have you got anything you'd like to say to the gentlemates?
Might win.
And the gentlemates are on their feet, and I think they're probably going to be there for the entirety of this ad break.
Queasy са still first place. 170 точки преднина. Марскал. Damn. Пикс Дарм Демос вече са third place. Марскал наближава, брат. Има още 5 игри, нищо не се знае. Лико 6. Паво са 7 вече. Тая игра, ако не бяха умрели, топ 3, for sure, шахава. Клик са 9, брат. Има шанс за топ 4. Любимото му плейсмент на Кликс. Сега вече 11. Тези бразилците са напред също. Не са зле. Тървал са 21-ви. Холси, дето аз пак. Даже не умират оспално, просто умират от сърч явно. Манибука Столвин са 10-ти. От тази игра взимат 101 точки, брат. 101 точки взимат от тази игра. Като сега ако Петърбълт уинат и те ще някъде топ 13.
So you know what time it is. Game 8 starts now.
Having a little bit too much fun with it, but you know there's so much fun to go around. We just couldn't keep it all to ourselves, Jacob. So Levin, why don't you give a big hello to everybody here for Game 8?
I had to get involved in the action, Taco. I mean, the games have been way too good. I couldn't watch for too long. I just wanted to jump in for at least the one game, if you'll have me.
I'll have you, bro. We could be here for the rest of the day. We could just put a day 3 tomorrow and we could just cast all those games. But Levin, this fight, one that's been going all weekend long.
It's been relentless. Prodoxy's trio have had the better of them of late, but can they do it again? We know both teams can do incredibly well when they survive off spawn, but the surviving part is the hardest.
And that's the real issue here, Levin, because Tyson, Chicho, Atris is the most split that we've ever seen both of these teams drop, but we know exactly what comes next. If they're not quick with these eliminations, if they don't clear this out fast enough, somebody else is bound to roll on over.
That one looked a bit different. We're used to seeing these guys get to scrapping straight away. Both teams getting some time to loot up.
And Benno actually got that first elimination onto Coyote. It looked like Yuma was trying to play aggressive and try to clean it up, but Benno just created so much distance, it made it too much of a risk to continue to try to push it down. But back and forth, these off-spawn battles looking to get chaotic more and more so. Tayson almost piecing one up, but they found an exit. Chicho is in a struggle. He goes down. That's the first one knocked, but Prodoxy's down as well. That's going to be a 2v1 situation with Tayson getting knocked. It's all a Chris to try to get away. He's scrambling around. He evens the fight up with a knock onto Pablo.
But the damage has already been done. Gino's just not healthy enough to stick around. He can't even attempt to play for that revive onto Pablo.
And this is why these off-spawn battles between these two teams have been happening so quickly. Both teams are aware that once they take a second too long, this trio is going to roll on in and make it a nightmare. Again, Chino able to get away, and maybe his trio still has hope in this game, but not the start either teams would have wanted that.
And they're still going to have to revisit some other method to reestablish all of that lost surge from those full eliminations. But Chino, still, bit of a mastermind play there. He knew the fail was the perfect moment.
This is it right now. Uncontested yet again, but the biggest difference from that last game to every other game before, there's more and more players looking up. There's more and more teams ready to contest it. But they realize there's only 6 games left throughout the entirety of the day. 5 now with one already done. And their chances to overcome that point deficit is going right out the window.
I mean, for watching it on the sidelines, it doesn't look like anything really can get in these guys' way. I think they've shown the ability to still get so many points out of games, even if it's a game where height doesn't quite go their way. One of them still able to clutch. Can anything stop them today, Taco?
And that's the thing, though, is can anything stop them? Not necessarily, but can anything catch up to them? There's nothing scarier, in my mind, than a wounded animal, and that's exactly the position that Peterbot Cold and Ritual have been in after yesterday. But Gabzetta away, Scarpa, they picked up exactly what they needed to. Chino's not going to have that opportunity to try and play hero.
Uh-oh, the third parties, maybe in this case, going to be a 4th party overall. They're trying to move in, Braids, Visuals, and a Minish. They realize with 105 points, that's not nearly enough, or at least not close to what they thought they'd have. So they're now just going on the hunt. Eliminations, 4 points each. They look at Gabzetta, they look at Way and Scarpa. That's 12 possible points. One less team in their path, and a chance to try to at least steal away some of this loot and XP.
Thinking about Gabzetta, Way, and Scarpa having priority control right now.
Кога ще ме видите там?
Нямам. Лекс бица. Gabzetta, Way, and Scarpa truly are. They are lurking. They are creeping up ever so steadily, perfectly concealing themselves. But this is where patience and trigger discipline really come to
Това е
effect.
антивирусната им просто.
Another team. That's a 5th party. a fifth party is now coming in towards the side. So even though Braids, Diminish, and Visuals are trying to lurk and grab some eliminations, surprise attack one, they could be the ones that's happening to them. Bakadu, Tisco, Striker, instead of going for a lurk, they just immediately take the high ground. They said, hey, if you guys want to rotate out of Ranger's Ruin, you're going to get tagged up the entire time.
I still have no idea about Diminish's team just waiting in the wings. When that opportunity opens up, they will be ready to take it. But which team is going to play their hand first? Who will make that first move and knock the domino over?
Just a little bit of a stare down
Explode само на другите региони ползвам.
While they had seemed initially so intent on getting involved, the way that they've now just put everything to a pause, surely this has got to work out for Visuals.
You've got to start to think so, right? We know in this lobby the thresholds for Surge are so high. Time is such a valuable currency. Doing nothing, the less time to have to get Surge later on. Someone has to do something quickly, and I think they're starting to realize that.
I think everybody's realizing things aren't pushing. They're not happening as quick as they should. The third parties don't got their opportunity to lurk. For eliminations, the Striker,
още ходят от First Place с 170 точки, ама не гледах за минута и вече Суизи умрял.
Arc, he was doing so much to carry his team yesterday, but School not going to have that opportunity. Vortex, Goofy, and Mountain defend their current hold, but it's also making you wonder what happens to Queasy now that they've been interrupted.
Yeah, this is going to, again, be a real test. Will it be a chink in the armor? Will it be another walk in the park? For our OXR HQ team, things looking like a walk in the park. I mean, we've seen them do this many of the games so far in this competition. And the crowd will chant for Vanya Bubu. They know things are looking good for their M8 boys right now.
Мерсташ нок на Мъс. Пикси умира. Това е... Те, защото трябва да сърч. Аз закон, че някой ги пие.
You were excited till you noticed that it was done by both, and then immediately you key back in.
I quickly remembered, Taco.
A little bit of that.
Питър Бот кива тук.
But okay, there's a third party, there's a fourth party, the fifth party is towards the north. Okay, we got a sixth party now joining Rangers Ruin. Honestly, when Rangers Ruin first appeared, this is the team that said, hey, we're ready to take a triple contested fight against Prodoxy and Taste Trio. They ended up changing things up a little bit, but now they're going back to that home base where they first
Питър Бот не изглежда добре. Те пак имат само да пресна топ 10, което те не искат да правят. Те искат First Place, ама.
They're trying to figure out the formula for success here.
It wasn't about the struggles, it's more that they've just been homeless. There's nowhere on the map that they've been able to establish themselves, but the crash pad from overhead, getting the jump onto Scarpa, that is a big opening factor here for Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold.
На Queasy има 570. Queasy Suizy Мърстач. Second place е 400 точки. Те са 570. 170 точки лид имат.
Maybe getting a little bit too aggressive, playing as individuals, and we do see them kind of stuck as duos. This game around, I want to see a change up. I want to see no matter what happens, right or wrong play, they stick as a full trio, because when you do that, sometimes miracles can happen. But you're seeing kind of one side, the north side of the map, kind of getting a little aggressive. Teams just trying to push each other in order to get their Storm Surge. On the south side of the map, with the zone pulling over in this direction, this is where you're going to see more and more of those Surge bases set up.
A lot more time to accrue some damage. A lot more flexibility here. Hands up. Big weekend for him. And he's delivering so far. He's with two experienced LAN players. So he's shown that he can hold his own. Seti isn't a fan favorite. The crowd aren't loving Seti, but Seti is used to not being the favorite. He's used to people doubting him. And so he won't let that bother him too much.
Still over here, the zone's kind of favoring them out of all three trios that are in this direction, but shots continue to pour in. It doesn't even look like he knew exactly where those shots came from.
And look, I fully understand that Peterbot, Richmond, and Cole, these guys are such prominent players on their region and just considered top players overall. But even still, there's only so many drops that you can actually practice efficiently, and that has been a real thorn in their sides throughout this weekend.
Oh no!
От fall damage не брат.
Classic. They drop down the surge phase, and with that fall damage, that's easy surge for them. It's raining loot and a chance for them to come back.
That is so sweet.
Not for paper. Victor, epic whale. But one team's slip up, a little bit caught lacking. That's exactly what the adaptations you have to kind of anticipate heading into a day 2 format.
It's on the feed. Gagers going from that to getting another knock around the map. Canada bolts, rapid. They haven't had to move far from their actual initial drop spot. You see them saving the slurp truck down below for those extra heals. Seeing Rapid just kind of eye out the land right now. He is the IGL for the team, just trying to figure out where players are currently at, deep into the zone, and where they need to start to rotate to, so they have the least congestion. And in the background, Queasy, Swizzy, Merstash, that's a team that you gotta think that Canada just spotted out. And you know what they're looking for, Taco Levin. They're looking for that bunker.
They want it, but are they going to actually be able to grab it with Canada, Bolts, and Rapid so close by? Be pressed to believe, hard pressed to believe that Canada would let that one go for free. Same case scenario for his teammates, but Pix, Demas, Darm, they've just been playing their own methods, and it's worked out heavily for them.
Team with such little experience, but you could never tell from watching them in the lobby. Set game plan, set structure, and excellent execution. The young Poles continue to make their mark on this lobby, but there is still plenty to do. Acorn and Ages have plenty to do here. Foyo gonna have to be picked up.
Somewhere along the way, they might be able to find him, but if they aren't able to bring him back, it's basically an uphill battle for Acorn and Azures. Merstash, Swizzy, and Queasy, though, they're still able to make their way towards the bunker. So Canada, Rapid Bolts, probably thinking better, not really willing to get caught up in this instance, but maybe they choose to wait outside. Maybe it's somebody else entirely that might be looking to shut Queasy down.
There's very few teams, Levin, that can even access this vault this early on in the game. So even there, they're not that close to another. They have to rotate towards that OXR HQ. They have to rotate towards the south. So for Vanya and Marius and Pixie, they're going to be able to kind of see Merstash, Swizzy, and Quizzy. If they memorize their outfits throughout the course of the game, they're definitely going to get that 100% confirmation and a chance to take them down if they're going to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's something Vanya will keep track of. So we'll see if that ends up leading to a clash between the two teams. Something Vanya predicted would happen. He said he wants to play for Height today. We'll see if he's a man of his word. Paris and Chap and Mr. Savage have done incredibly well at times throughout this competition, but speaking to Mr. Savage yesterday, he said, hey, I feel like we can do even better. We got another gear to go up.
Multiple games yesterday inside of the top 6. Can you imagine going from, hey, I'm done with Fortnite, to a chance to win even more money, continue to build your legacy? And for someone like Chap, he's a youngin'. You know what I mean? He's still earning his stride, earning his respect, and he's doing it in such a good fashion. Their road through Major 3 to get that qualification spot and then showing up big in day 1. And now they got to lurk onto Sphinx, Muzz, and Shadow, waiting for the countdown. 3, 2, 1, Sphinx goes down. Reason, Savage, they're ready to start this fight. That's going to get cleaned up with ease, but instead of running away, they realize with a 3v2, it's now or never. They need the points if they want to climb that leaderboard.
Reason, Chap, and Savage, they're trying to be as quick as possible. They don't want to allow the opportunity for Muzz or Shadow to escape, but they're just not fast enough. Chap, Reason, Mr. Savage, they're gonna have to be content with the body loot off of Sphinx alone. But Chap's still seeing if he can try and pull out a little bit more here. Good tag into Shadow's HP bar. They've got Muzz a little bit cornered, but Chap, Reason, Mr. Savage, This is all that they want. They're stuck just outside Edge's zone, and they know if they clear out Muzz and Shadow, they're gonna have free rotation path with nobody left behind them.
You see Reason. His instincts are to make plays happen. You don't want to be too ambitious. Don't want to give them any room to put your team in a bad situation. This is Savage taking a big chunk of damage, and that will slow things down just a moment. And again, they did well to get the first. Of course, they want even more out of this. They know these guys are going to be weak. These guys are going to be on the back foot. So they'll continue to pressure, but let's not make any mistakes here, boys.
Yeah, they're out of zone. They're kind of thinking not too many teams even hear the noise, but get Zed away and Scarf, but they definitely do, and they're moving in. But Muzz goes down. Chap trying to finish this fight, and they do so. Savage takes down Shadow, but the third party is now making it hard for them to survive.
That's the way to do it. You saw Savage, Chap, both shotguns in hand, playing together, taking advantage of the man advantage, and now that puts them in a much more favorable position. Well played from Chap, Savage and Reason.
Soul Series на коя дата беше, бе? 11 ли беше? И до утре в кое?
And unfortunately, it's only Clicks, last man standing from his team and just being absolutely battered. There's no way he's going to be able to withstand the pressure. Braids, visuals of Minish coming out on top.
Not every day you see teams carrying away that minigun just to melt through those builds. You're not going to be able to hold the box at all, but this is exactly how that fight started. A lurk play coming out of a minute. He dropped a mini shed on Hate's head, and they went in and cleaned up that last elimination onto Clicks.
And you can see the frustration on Clicks' face when he went down. Such a frustrating way to get out of this game. And they'll have to hit the drawing board.
Malabuko walks being all it takes is a quick pan over, and M8 is going to send a surging roar through this arena. That has got to be such an amazing feeling, but saw a glimpse of Mustache just now, and this could be trouble brewing for both of these teams.
Yeah, and you know, Tackle, you'll know better than anyone else commentating over this trio this year. They're so good when it comes to momentum. They pick up that first win, they keep things rolling. This game will be a big sign of whether or not these guys are really here to play in this competition, or whether it was a one-hit wonder.
Especially after that Game 7 win being in such a commanding fashion too, but that's the gameplay that we were almost expecting to see in day one. But as long as they manage to capture that kind of performance in this secondary day, there might not be a point amplifier, but there's still plenty of opportunity to catch up on some positioning in the leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm always saying you got to leave no regrets behind when you play on such a big stage like this with a huge life-changing amount of money. And I think yesterday some teams may have played just a little bit too safe compared to how they played during the majors to qualify for this global championship. Being able to go back last night, VOD review, and really figure out what was going wrong. You're seeing a more aggressive pace coming out from some of these teams. Not exactly every step of the way, but when they get a key knock, when they get some good damage, they're now starting to play more and more aggressive, and most importantly so, more and more teams, just like Poyo, Agers, and Aqua that we see here, are willing to contest that high ground in the later portions of this game.
Gentlemates will certainly be happy to see Poyo back up and in the running, but you have to wonder, Levin, what does their surge actually look like? They seemed a bit desperate there, trying to find some additional surge trades with Agers, Acorn, and Poyo, but it's the backdrop pressure. Hydra catching Acorn completely off guard, but there's such a direct path that they have to take into zone. They can't sit outside any longer, and it's just making them too prone to being picked off in the process.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough game to fight your way back into. So many of our teams here just set up so well. Everything looking incredibly cozy for Dimash, Ram, and Pix right now. And they'll continue to pressure some of the teams looking to make their way on into that safe zone.
Just gotta let it sit and appreciate it after all, but Poyo, they can hear everything surrounding them, but Poyo, he's gonna look to try and close in on the surge base. Again, desperation factoring in, heavily 500 below. They've got to get damage online. They've got to do it ASAP before they find themselves being taken out of this lobby entirely. Poyo, Agers, scrambling, but it's not enough. They can't stand tall. Cammy, Hadi, and Ivcho now benefiting exclusively from those siphon materials.
Cammy could smell the desperation on those guys, and they capitalize. Unfortunately, it was always going to be an uphill battle for Hoyo and his trio. That was a tough game, but there's still a couple more for them to get back in it. Cammy though now looking much better off after being able to pick up some of them Cypher mats.
Yeah, and it was actually Ivcho who got that initial knock and elimination onto Acorn, leaving them that far below the damage threshold. But now the zone pulling up over towards the north. This is a good zone for the majority of the lobby. There's not too many different elevation changes, especially drastic ones at that. It's just as long as it doesn't pull towards the west. That's what the entire lobby has to be hoping for right now, including Pings, Walks, and Malibuka. From high ground victory royale in that last game to low ground for now. But this is exactly kind of the same pace they were taking. It wasn't until zone 10, maybe even 9, that they actually went up for that high ground and held it for the rest of the game. But you're seeing some teams above the damage threshold with their eliminations, but 4 eliminations below Vico and Flixie, they're 178 below the damage threshold. They know they have their work cut out for them and get focused outside of the lobby, making it hard for them to find their way in without burning through these materials.
They've at least got an ample amount of mats though, so they're not too pressed just yet, but they're gonna have to start to kick things into overdrive because Vico, Flixie, Veno, they're still sitting underneath that damage threshold. They got Oceana directly next to them. This is the first fight they can find. This is the first fight they're gonna take, and Anon immediately beamed, thrown back. That's all the damage that they needed, just barely pushing them above the threshold line.
Those are the fights that they strive for.
With Ivchou once again.
We've seen it all year long. They'll find themselves in tough situations like that and create their way out of it.
511 damage here. Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid. They had a fantastic game number 1. Unfortunately, they weren't able to pick up that VR, like Kanata said, to start the day, but they're here again with another opportunity with Rapid and Bolts by his side. His IGL, his Fragger, that's a lot of confidence that's continuing to brew in that trio. Same here for Pickstorm and Demon. As I said, underdogs to top dogs. Levin, this team is probably one of the biggest surprises in EU, right?
Yeah, these guys have been phenomenal. We've highlighted it so much. But this is another example of a game where they're playing at their own pace. Excellent timings. I know when we've spoken to Coach Sven, he's always talked about the preparation of these guys being so important. They understand how to play this lobby. And again, this looks like a game where we will probably see them in that top 5, top 4 towards the end.
Pixivania Marius, they want this. They're starting to get a little bit of posturing now. 8th zone. Ready to maybe try and make that approach towards holding height, but it's still very
biggest attack, big.
Finally getting to see it here on land.
We finally got a chance here. 411 points. These are the ones that are essentially hot on the heels of that first place team. They're building out, looking for opportunities to reconnect. You see Marius focusing down that second height. It may not be an AR, but the damage is still there. But Flixie and Veno, they both go down. Vico's still 59 below the damage threshold. He does have minis, he does have some big pops, even a med miss. But the miracle thing is that it's going to reactivate later on in this game, but at least he knows where he stands.
But they were just constantly teeter-tottering for far too long on that surge threshold. Mr. Savage in a very similar position. He's just trying to get out of the low ground, but he won't get the chance. Chap falls directly after him, and that's going to be a little bit of open ground now for somebody else to try and roll through in this ultimate lower layer. But still, Swizzy, Mustache, Queasy, they are plotting for that height take.
Yeah, it's never a good sign when you see a team fighting on zone transition. You want to be ready to rotate. These guys are Queasy scouting out the rotate. Where can he find an angle to use that crash pad? Gonna have to create more space to do it.
That one's going to be easy. Gets to the other side with ease. He's not even distracted by the other players in his path. He knows, get to the front side of zone, control the pace, control the tempo, worry about it later. And there's very few players next to him on that side. Cammy, Ivcho, Howdy going to be one of them. But on the high ground, there's not been very many teams that can... This could be their chance to get that VR. And they get another elimination on the pump. Can they clean it up?
Vortex е в EndGame.
I like this from Vico though, still just out of sight, out of mind, but he might be able to make a huge play if he can find another elimination. Said no, Vico jumped on first.
Yeah, but Alex
the dream ending here in game 8 for Veno's team, but Alex resigns. They've just got a little bit more time, a little bit of an extension here. They're gonna take the crash pad front side zone, but lower layers have already established themselves. They've got to be careful of not getting chopped out.
Pixie, Darm, Demas, waiting to the last second, crash pad into the front side of zone. Swizzy, Mustache, Queasy, they have the materials. They did not play for the high ground. They're okay being down low in the dirt. They know they're the most dangerous team at this event, especially if you run into them. Kanata bolts rapid, scrambling around, trying to heal up. The splash is coming out, but that's the last of the white heals that Kanata has in his inventory. Up above, there's a team trying to put pressure down. You see them scrambling and forcing them to split up momentarily.
The respect, though, from Queasy to still make the commitment towards the low ground. Meanwhile, Bolts, Kanata, Rapid, just doing everything they can to try and keep themselves up and in the running here.
Марио казал, половина това ще е добре за тях. Ще има шанс за first place. Ще скъсят гапа, Мерсач е умрял.
Queasy now as a duo. We've seen them dominate from the skies. But how good can you guys take it?
Swizzy гледа да чопне.
Pixie, Marius Vanya. They've held on well for now, but this is the hard part. Can they
3
continue to
кила.
hold on?
150 точки са behind вече.
See the double pump coming out from Marius. That's not going to deal a ton of damage or even pressure. Marius is dropping down along with Pixie, staying to the backside of zone to make sure nobody can flank him as Bolts takes down Cammy. He is a solo champion on land before third party.
Swizzy той ще умре може би скоро. Един билд, отдолу стрифът и... Топ 6 умира. Мариус като и той умира. Малибука second win. Не, сети ще го спечелят. 409 точки за тях. Те са единствено до 3 всички са солота.
And so now, Seti, Kanza, Yapko looking to remind the rest of the competition that they are in it for the win. Watts has no more HP to hold on. The tree will be the only thing stopping it. They just need to connect with the final shot, and the storm will do the job. They are the favorites, but right now in Leon, you must give them respect. They win game number 7.
Seti, Yapko, and
Всички отсвириха.
started the day saying just a few big games away from that top spot. Frankie, they're just a few games away.
On your feet, boys, on your feet. Seti, it felt like it was just a matter of time before you got your victory royale of the 2025 Fortnite Global Championships. How did you manage to do it from the low ground?
I mean, I just have the best teammates and we have very good chemistry, so it just works.
But the chemistry has come so quickly for you guys. Yapko, coming back, we talked about it earlier, from North America to Europe. Why do you think Europe is so successful here in Lyon?
I don't know, we're just crazy.
You are crazy, absolutely.
Incroyable, mesdames et messieurs. Félicitations, congratulations for this first victory royal. This victory is the beginning of a lot of victory, do you think? Do you think you have more victory now that you started?
Yeah, I think so.
So, how will you manage to have more victories now and to keep going on this?
I mean, we just maybe found the secret right now, so we're just gonna keep trying the same thing and gonna see how it works.
Seti, I think you're enjoying this crowd.
Yeah, I love them. It's like a love-hate relationship now.
Well, I think I'm gonna leave you to enjoy them a little more because we need to take a break. We'll be back with game number 9.
120 точки вече. Има още 4 игри. Дали ще успеят да овъртейкнат? Holy fuck, 120 точки. Сети уиннаха 30. Пикската 4, Канада 5, Виковина Пикси 6, Малибука 7, Едроп 8, Чино, умряха Оспанса 9, Чапмистър Сеч, Еризанката 15, Тейсънката врат 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Оспана. Само за 2 игри са направили 165 точки и са 19 за 2 игри. Търбот са топ 18 right now. OC са дигнаха малко тази игра, 10 и 8 са направили. Батко са OC, Азия, Middle East, не West, Азия, Middle East, OC, Азия, OC, Middle East, Бразилия. И вече идва NA, Europe. Така двама бразилци. Кинг, мате, рези пича. Бака Парс Пъмп, NA West има. Къде е Арк са 14. Днеска не са добре.
Just when it looked like teams would get a chance to catch up, they have another phenomenal game. Even without wins, it's looking like teams aren't able to slow down the masterclass performance of Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache. It's almost going to take somebody or a full trio or more to take matters into their own hands.
We've still seen a little bit more of a stumble, though, from Queasy's trio in terms of managing those endgame instances, and Storm Sickness has definitely played a heavy part into how they're able to manage some of these moving zones. But right now, we got to worry about what's happening with Prodoxy. Jason, Tris is going to be the first one knocked. Prodoxy knows, though, he can't afford to let up the pressure anytime soon, but he can't get close either. He doesn't have a shotgun. He's only got this hammer assault rifle to work with. Pablo, Chino, Prodoxy, though, because of that initial knock and elimination, they're going to have the advantage here. Pablo can't get overhead. Jason and Chicho are scrambling. Chicho with an excellent
Prodoxy още един win ли остан правда, брат, или? Дай се напопочне.
But it's only Jason left to try and fend for himself, and the swarm is coming after him. Everything crumbling at his feet.
3v1 situation. Almost even more than that, with the bugs taking him down as well.
Jason's gonna
fall, and another
7 спална.
victory for Prodoxy.
7 спална за теб.
We talked about this being the team right here that will try to win it all and take matters into their own hands. With the drop spot roulette, it's not just for one team. Veno, Flixie, and Vico, they've had enough of Canyons crossing. They go toward the north side of the map. Valor, Adapter, Mansoor, they're the ones now getting surprise contested.
The issue for Veno, Vico, and Flixie as they find that last elimination onto Bellord is that they know it's just not worth dealing with the delays of being contested at Canyons Crossing. They'd rather stake their bets elsewhere, and I like the idea to pivot. They have a very realistic chance of taking over the top 3. They're able to actually play through their own strategies, but Pixie, Marius, and Vanya,
голям шанс да
on
win-нат.
the screen, you almost anticipate that the Vanya Boo-Boo is going to follow shortly after. Marius, just what a supportive teammate, tossing medkits their way, making sure that everybody has ample white heals to play tag off Surge.
Yeah, essentially consolidating all of those extra heals into one spot. Clixie, Amzo, Higgs, and even though Supernova Academy uncontested, they're sticking to the plan. They practice up until this point. They land over towards those RBs. They get some chests, but most importantly, it's how quick and fast you can kind of max out your brick material. And then they go right back on over to Supernova, where this time it's a little bit of a hot drop. Extra loot over there, but Epic, Paper, Victor B, that just wasn't a one-game wonder. They're going again at Cammy and iDrop. Hottie's already out, and that gives them a huge advantage. A momentum shift, confidence at an all-time high as Victor B looking to go toe-to-toe with Cammy there on the other side, fighting for pieces, knowing he has his teammates behind him. He's ready to go all in.
Ever since Victor B was able to shut down Peterbot in the first lobby of yesterday, Jacob, it seems like he's been playing with an all-new level of confidence.
Импресът ще имат най-малко практис. Плюс това не трейдват с никой сърч, защото с никой не се познава. Помпа откъде ви гледат, бата.
The aggressive nature coming out of Pump. He's the one that locks in and gets a lot of the damage and eliminations. He was the one that won Major 3, forcing that spot to roll down to Victor V, Epic, and Paper. But at least 2 of them are still alive. The IGL, the 6-time FNCS champion. And with iDrop, Hottie, and Cammy rotating out of this, they have a chance here. It might not be a massive one, but a chance to survive, get Victor V back into the game. But you can see on the minimap, the zone is kind of telling. It might kind of center up this game instead of leaning one side to the next, but it's all about that north or south pole where these teams are going to have to rotate quicker than ever.
Different scenes for Chino,
And we all see a nice one again.
And Pablo. Ever since they won that initial battle at Rangers Ruin, had full control of the swarm. Now they're getting the priority access and double the
След това може би е Азия.
conversation.
I feel like that was best case scenario in terms of exotics, considering their
И другите са NA West, Middle East и Бразилия. Може би в Бразилия да показват доста тегави. NA West също. Middle East не толкова.
Especially since they ended yesterday with a win and 19 eliminations. They're trying to channel that. Arc continues to take the fight towards the north side of the map. Goofy, Vortex, and Mountain, they're the ones they had enough of throughout the day. And Arc,
yeah, they're scrappy, and that's the big thing here, is that Arc Salco School, they realize Vortex, Mountain, and Goofy are just farming Surge off of Queasy from a distance. So we're gonna take the battle to them. We don't want to waste any more time as issues continue to pile up elsewhere. Epic might have just met his demise at the hands of Cold. So tells me that Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual, they're still on the move. They're still looking at third party, any instances they can get their hands on. But Salco, Arc School, first they've got to deal with Oceania. And the longer this draws out, Jacob, the worse it is for both of them.
Yeah, when they won their major championship in Major 2, it was through aggression. It was through running down teams, forcing them back to the lobby, whether they liked it or not. They're trying to channel that here, but it's just not as easy because every one of these teams, regardless of the region, are one of the best teams in the world, which is how they qualify to this stage. Goofy, Vortex, and Mountain, they're just not going to roll over. They're going to fight with every fiber up there being. The Vortex takes a good shot. Shield goes out the window. Arc continues to pressure on that other side. Salco's there to back him up. Goofy just kind of gets tricked a little bit. Damage continues to pour in. Salco and Arc are feeling more and more confident with each second passes in this fight. But Arc might have bit off just a little bit more than he could chew. 40 HP or left is all he has left.
A little bit of over-aggression possibly spilling through there from Arc, and that's going to give Mountain, Goofy, and Vortex much more priority inside of the box fight, but teams are continuing to collapse around the map. Pico, Veno, Flixie also looking to establish a little bit of a surge strategy. It comes as no real surprise that some teams are still looking to just trade knocks from their surge-based positions, but again, when teams are caught up in these close encounters, they don't have any other choice but to fight their way through, and that's exactly what School, Arc, and Salco are looking for, but they need to have
300 000 лева само заради бък от Fortnite, брате, добре ли?
It is a worst-case scenario for both of these teams.
From the off-spawn fight, taking down Tayson, they're now putting their aggression on the Agers, Acorn, and Pollo. They got that first elimination already on the IGL, leaving Agers and Pollo on the back foot. And it's not only that team they have to worry about. If you look at the minimap, the north, the south, even the east has third-party potential written all over it. That pressure, and this is exactly what I warned you about. When you have that one pump potential, they're immediately going to put it to use. Down goes Pollo. For Doxy, Pablo, and Chino are looking to take over Game 9.
It's less about the one pump potential for me, Jacob. It's more if you see Doxy, Pablo, and Chino win that off-spawn as quickly as they did, you never know where they're going to come from. These guys are experts at executing the roam strategy and finding their surge through sheer elimination, firepower, and Agers left to pull back the Demon's debris. But this is like starting from square one. 2 builds. We can see a little bit of where things went south here. Checking back in with Prodoxy, finding that initial knock, leading into the elimination onto Pollo.
В момента всички ще ги говоря за Томас Ейджи, защото не е класно. Томас Ейджи не е класно, защото не го пуснах игра. Айде, мистер Сайдж умра от Middle East.
He was eliminated early on, but they have to watch out. The third party's now looking to crash. They know, they heard it. That's Reed Cooper and Curly trying to make up for lost time. They were able to get the revive off, but saw just a sliver of HP, looking for survival. The launch pad comes out, so they have to abandon ship. Cooper sees it into the sky. This is his only chance. They cannot let him survive because they need the points. They need the surge, and they're going to grab it all.
Curly and Cooper, just the perfect tag team to nail those players. The moment that they try to escape, third parties are just so vicious, and it's crazy to think, Jacob, at how much action is really taking place inside of the storm.
Oh no, I saw what happened in the feed, but now we get to see it here. Flixie down. Vico's trying to fight back. He gets the elimination onto Tay-Tay. Rido's essentially going to be by himself, and you see him lurking around. Benno just runs into the brick wall. Rido!
No way, brad.
Back to back!
I'm speechless! I
Как
can't
ще
believe
го
we just
тронна
witnessed
тебе,
that!
човек?
Benno sitting, waiting for the battle bus to take off in the next lobby. Ivcho clicks and hits, drawing us back into Supernova Academy. But Jacob, this is preposterous what is taking place.
I feel like all three majors was kind of like leaning towards one thing. A lot of these towers, the surge, the trading shots, but when you come to the global championship and things don't work out, you have to adapt, and you're really seeing a lot of these teams adapting at its finest. Marius Vanya, Pixie from the OXR HQ. This is exactly what you're talking about, consolidating the heals early on in the game, 3 med kits in the inventory, extra med mist. So now, even though they have to rotate on out, they're as healthy as can be. The Blueberry Fizz and that launch pad means they can cover almost 1,000 meters across the map before they have to land.
It's all about just trying to stay out of that render.
Peter умрали,
They
не
don't
знам.
want to be scouted out as they're soaring in off these rotations, but Pix, Darm, Demas just continue to impress. You would never believe that this is their first ever LAN experience. They have played with so much confidence throughout the entirety of this weekend. It almost feels inevitable before they find their victory royale.
See, Darm clutched 60 points as a solo, the most of any
Да го
other
кажат малко и те
players
винаги
on the
показват хората, които са
time.
бият или хората, които са най-напред в лидерборда. В Питърборд не правят
Seven-time
нито
champions.
едно от двете явно.
We have
Или
some
са
of the
умрели.
best players
И на
in
шеги,
the
да.
world, but it's Darm, the new kid on the
Не
block,
са умрели
that's
още.
really putting on a show here for his team. If they can continue this pressure, you know,
Coração,
I
Chune.
think that something can happen here when the score is over at the end of the day. Only time will tell. Non-resign and Alex, they haven't moved away from their drop spot too yet. The zone has kind of helped them out, but now they're going to get a farther pull than they've ever faced so far. And the only big question, seeing nobody else really around them, is how much
All
surge
see had their
they have.
first
At least have that rip pod
2 top 10
incoming,
placements
a little bit
in
more
Game 8.
resources,
Every
a little
region
more
has now
utility
reached the top 10.
they
Ява!
can possibly
Каква е
utilize,
тази
but
гавра, бе? Какъв е този стат?
heading towards the top of this mountain range. Anon bound to have spotted out those players a little bit further east from where they're located. So you have to anticipate that there's going to be a team possibly looking to set up a crouch sneak play. You can never be too careful. You got to check every single corner in day 2.
Утре на турнира сметам Дулс да е само. Много
Cannot
турнир.
rapid bolts rotating on over, trying to get as close to the center of the zone as possible, give themselves a little bit of elevation to work with, not too much. They don't want to be kind of the focus of the lobby overall. Steady Yapko Panzer, same thing for them. They already got their mountaintop. Just at the edge of the zone though, Seti's using that bush to his advantage, not even a full box.
If you don't respect the player, you've got to respect the gameplay. Maybe Seti can win over this French audience. Maybe he can be an honorary, nominee for somebody to cheer for here, because they've really been playing lights out this weekend, Jacob. They deserve a little bit of credit for what they've been able to put
всеки
up.
ще печели от
But right
първо
now
и
it's all
другите ще
about
по
Anon,
2,50.
Alex, and
Долу
Resigns
си.
trying to shut down Seti, Panzer, and Yapko. They don't want to allow him to find any sort of rhythm.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, though, because you saw that stat, Yapko, with 2 different versions of the AR. He has the most damage in the lobby, making sure that they can play these games out with flexibility. They can play these games out with space and positioning, because he is making sure they are almost always above that storm surge threshold. And it comes from positioning like this. Remember, Taco, they land at the Kappa factory all the way towards the east, so they're making their rotations a huge focal point of their game plan.
Еми мога да се гръмна такова е трудно.
Pigs and Ivcho still rotating in from the north side of the map. They're being trailed by King Phaser and PHN, which is not a comfortable feeling, because King Phaser and PHN love to fight.
And it's not only that, but look at how much material they've been having to burn on their way in. Not only that, but they're also just announcing to everybody else inside of zone already that's looking back, oh, there's walls going up. Oh, there's definitely at least one team approaching us from the flank, so they don't even have a chance to try and even posture more towards the inner section of that edge of zone.
Или при не знаеш, че ме е трето лоби.
That is the last team all
Не
behind you,
знаеш.
because for the reasons you just mentioned, Jacob, they love to fight.
And they do so as a full trio. So it's almost like a hope for Clixiamzo and Higgs or any other team positioned nearby that they're above the damage threshold, because that's one less aggressive team that you do have to worry about. But you're seeing when it comes to our top 10,
Еми ще видим, би трябвало накрая, когато свършат всички игри, да направят някакъв анаунсмент. Ако не направят анаунсмент, тъпо. Ако направят, ще видим какъв ще е анаунсмента. Сети умряха ли, бе, брат?
The invitational champion has to figure out a way to fight back, but that Praise on the other side. Visuals diminished. They have to be nearby, and especially now, more and more teams are closing in on the distance. Seti has to figure it out, and he gets denied.
There's just nowhere left for Seti to run, and France is going crazy.
Батиста, какво прави там, бе?
Seti be eliminated, but the action isn't done just yet.
Батиста беше в центъра.
Alex still overhead, underneath. Buyuriru and Wixie, they're trying to prevent Braid's visuals and the Minish from actually leaving this territory, but for how long can they actually stop them? The moment that they move out of here, Visuals bound to take notice. He's immediately trying to apply a little bit of additional damage, maybe get some good shots up, but revisiting what was going down with Clixy, Ivcho, and Higgs, they're actually going to be the ones to get the jump onto Asia. Brazel a little bit too isolated, and that's going to be an immediate knock into the elimination.
Yeah, Brazel got frazzled by Clixy, Ivcho, and Higgs, but they're not giving up, and this is a change-up with another knock, an elimination going over to Ivcho. It all comes at a cost because Clix goes down. Higgs is trying to stay alive, and he does just that. Ivcho helping save the day, and that's the big part from this team. Because remember, there was a moment yesterday. They got a knock. They got Higgs wanted to push over. He wanted to fight that fight 3v2. The rest of the team said, nah, let's rotate in. These guys have come for a comeback.
He's last man standing. Still looking to see if we can find him, and Victor V right next to him. Pablo so deeply tucked away into a corner, but he doesn't have a whole lot of options to escape here. Immediately charged in, but Paper, what a shot! He's going to be put down into the dirt. Victor V is going to be able to revive him. A nice clutch by their fragger, but that was still insanity.
I love how they're willing to fight the best in the entire world. And that's Victor V's legacy. If y'all remember way back when Arkham was even still playing, Coney Crossroads, Victor V said, this is my drop. I don't care how many championships you have, Epic. I don't know how many championships you have, Arkham. You're going to have to go through me. And it's full circle. Now they're on the same team, and that confidence for Victor V is at an all-time high.
This is a much more familiar sight, though, for Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache. Arguably their best loadouts at this point of the lobby so far here today. And Mustache, Swizzy, Queasy definitely still being very conscious of what surrounds them. School Arc and Salvo not too far behind, but Ivcho and Clix, they're forcing their way into these edges of zones, and they just don't have anything to work with. The last of their materials being expended. Ivcho even opting to try and fall further back, hoping that the Medmis can buy him enough time, but Pump, Baka, Pars, they're already in zone, Jacob. They'll hold this for as long as they want.
Yeah, and since they're already positioned in zone, like you said, it makes it an easy decision for Pars to kind of go by himself. He knows his teammates are watching his back to try to get that loot as fast as possible. Ivcho knows they're closing in on the distance. He's trying to use his crash pads to escape, but you cannot escape NA West as they take down Clix, Higgs, and Ivcho, and their struggles continue.
Just asking for way too much for Ivcho to wiggle his way out of that one. Even if it hadn't been Baka, Pars, and Pump, you could see there's still several other teams in the area that were bound to lobby focus that solo the moment that they spotted him out. Malabuko walks ping, though. Looking to get a little bit more active here, trying to funnel teams around them. They want to see if they can make a play just to switch slightly higher up onto the elevation, utilize some of this natural map terrain, but they're still holding teams back. They don't want anybody rotating through them. Malabuka.
Reaper ми е дрон начин на мене, брат. Голям дрон е Reaper, човек.
But right now, they've got a little bit more time to calm before the storm.
I think that's a little bit of an understatement, the way some of these games have been going on, especially today.
Питър работи се да без да надмък, че този път бяха на балкон. Ако бяха онкон, минимум топ 5 шаха.
Making sure Mustache, Quizzy, and Swizzy don't continue to run away. with a tournament. I mean, they're doing the same thing. Him and Braze get active early on. They get another elimination on their mid game.
Рипър стига се оправдава човек.
Arms just continue to look around every team that crash pads to the zone. They're at least landing 1, 2, 3 crucial shots. Which is where you see the difference right there from Coyote, Yuma, and Rice.
Full box dead.
Used a flowberry
Два
fizz
пъти full
with the
box
crash
в
pad to cover more ground, get higher up in the sky, and make it harder for them to get tagged up.
A little bit of a look back into what went down with Brazil. Phaser actually winning out, getting a good knock onto Cooper. And that's going to leave a very difficult entry point for Southwell Arc and School. They're not even going to be
Не бе, Рипър е тролима още.
just completely
Метки пе на прозорец, да не клаунем в файнас.
But up on high, Watts, he's been knocked. He never had a chance to close it off. He's going to have to depend on Malabuka to get him back to safety, but they're going to have to forfeit height here, Jacob. Another team bound to try and jump immediately onto them, but Ping, Malabuka somehow brought back without much of a challenge, and that is actually insanity to witness. And it's the surge underneath, that's the real problem.
It's not just surge, it's active surge on top of that. Alex and On resign, they're trying to rotate away. They get some shots, but they're still 160 below. Every 7 or so seconds, 25 damage pours out, and you don't get knocked. You get straight eliminated. Crash pad, Flowberry Fizz, they're doing what they can to rotate towards the zone, but it's Queasy, it's Quizzy, it's Mustache on the other side. M8 versus M8. Malabuka has no choice. 128 below the damage.
Мале, Суизи умира. Това е много добре за Марио Скал, брат. Суизи умира и той мерстач. Живее. Холт го убива.
In first place, Malabuka walks Ping still underneath that surge threshold. They're trying, they're so desperate. Everybody around them knows it too. They're not trying to allow the opportunity to let these guys break through their builds. But Mustache is a solo. What more could you possibly do?
Марио Скал се живее, брат.
He just needs players to fall around.
Къде са? Те са на хай граунд. Леле, сега ако уинат, брат, с по 10 кила и мерстач умре, те ще са first place или буквално 20 точки отзад тях. Това е много зле за Quizzy, брат. Може и да не уинат Лана. Мерстач на едно. 0 елиминс. Кила е 4 точки, брат.
They're certain to have seen what that elimination feed looks like though, but Demas, darn picks, seeing them control the low ground comes as no real surprise, but they know they've got to keep a hold of that front side. They're immediately going to start making their way towards it, but they still got to be careful. Height overhead, Mustache is a solo, he'll be forced to drop to ultimate low. Malabuka creeping directly underneath him, but Mustache, he doesn't realize it. He only has 6 builds. He's trying to conserve as much as he possibly can.
Zima placement.
So quiet in the background.
Yeah, he's kind of waiting for the zone to force him out. Let all these teams bypass him on this rotation and hopefully try to get some sort of a sneak attack. Peterbot holding Ritual still alive in this game as well, but their material count rather low. A lot of the teams being the pressure that they keep pouring down, but at least they're 134 above the damage threshold. When it comes to Storm Surge, I think they're good from here on out, and even Pixie getting another knock on Toyota. Alex cleans that one up, so Luke going on over to him, but they're just pressuring over and over and over, whether it's an AR, the double pump, they're not letting any team look up.
It's an issue though. Anon, Alex resigns from the low ground. They might be able to pick off
Но намериха го и го убиват. Убиват го, брат. Ваняк май го убил от хай. Топ 13, това е най-лошият им плейсмент до сега от 9 игри и вече Ваняк изостават с 120 точки, обаче те са на хай граунд. Колт умира в килфида. Ивчо и той умря. Ваняк, ако направят 10 кила, тази игра ще са много добре и win. All Seat има отново EndGame правят. Никой не гледа за хай граунд. Питър Бот и той умря. Топ 11. 2 кила имат. След тази игра има още 3 игри, брат. Ако я уинат, та имат голям шанс те за уин. Канала. 4 кила имат. Още 6 кила, ако направят, ще е много добре. На косъм. О, сплифат ги. Какъв е този тим? Ваня умира. Това Кинг ли беше? Марио Скал е на много малко. Умира топ 5. Пикс Демос даром, брат. 460 точки. Бразилците дали ще уинат? Дали ще направят победа? Едно в 3-3, maybe. Кинг умира. Фейзър. 3 в 1. В 1 май вече. Не, едно в 2 по-скоро. Фейзър дали ще клъчне победата? Оу, почти го нокнал. Не, умря. Second place the King.
Leaderboard. They look like they have been here for years. Frankie, we need to know their secret.
I don't know what their secret is, but I have to say, all year in Europe, we've been looking at Pix, Stam and Demas. This trio that seemingly came out of nowhere and have been impressing us ever since. I mean, this has been just an incredible event for you so far, Dom.
Yeah, it was incredible, to be honest. Like, I mean, Southwest Globals and we played this good. It's crazy.
And tell me how you've worked on your game through the year, because when we first saw you competing in Major 1 as a trio, you were so aggressive, and now you know how to not over-aggress. You know how to play the game right through to its end. What have you learned along the way?
I mean, we worked with our coach Sven, so like we learned a lot and what to do and what to not do.
But he's taught you very well.
I have a huge question, but just before, je crois que Avoc a beaucoup de fans ici, faites du bruit! Pix, you have a lot of fans there. Do you have a word for them?
I love you all. Thank you for support.
Merci beaucoup pour le soutien, ils vous adorent. Faites encore du bruit pour leur trio.
Demas, playing in majors online is one thing, but how do you manage to achieve this success on LAN?
We played the game actually like the best as we can, like, and we just won it.
Do you think you can go even further and do the back-to-back?
I'm sorry?
Do you think you can win the next game too?
We see in 20 minutes, no?
We will see. You're going to have a bit of a break and a well-deserved one. Please, Leon, Havoc fans, show your appreciation. Pit Storm and Demas! We have to take a bit of a break, but don't go anywhere, because in a few minutes, we're going to assess what we've seen so far.
A few minutes е около 20 минути, мисля. Клоузват Гапа Бате, 18 точки. Third place, Pix, Dan Demos. Некои, това им е най-лошата игра. Топ 13 с 0 кила. Канада са топ 4, бате. Сети умряха върли тука. Вино и те умряха от азиатците, брат. 34 кила, много тъпо. 379 точки имат те. Те имат 50 кила, брат. Малибука, 7 айдроп, 8. Пао, Редокс и Чино киват доста. Понякога умират тъпи начини, са топ 9, имат най-много кила, май 59 кила имат. Елик са 10. Мистер Щасавич умряха тука. Не помня от Middle East, май умряха тайра. 11. Кинг. Second place 4 кила. Топ 12, бате. Арка не мърда топ 14. Ойо топ 15, брат. Тия последните две игри, ужас. Мисля, че бяха топ 10 по едно време. Те сънката 7 спална. И са 21 все още. Алекс, All има брате топ 23. Не са дето аз поне. Те са взели малко плейсментите. 9 точки. 2 плейсмента по-скоро. EpicPartner са пред последни, брат. Най-добрият Middle East има топ 25. А най-добрият Asia има топ 26, брат.
Champions are really going to be tested. The battle bus taking off here.
Game номер 10. Дали Тейсън ще спечели един оспам днес или не?
If he intends on continuing to pose a threat for that top half of the leaderboard. So far here today, it has been largely for these teams coming out on top, but anything could change in the blink of an eye.
Wait a minute.
Използват два различни дроп мапа.
Who invited Aspect to this party? Oh, another trio now on the put a huge all these things happen.
Тук вече сплитнаха локацията. Това може би Тейсън ще го спечелят. Вико умира от азиатеца, не. Защо само от азиатеца умират викове, брат, и вино? На Ифликс умря, брат. Остана само вино. No way. Бъгва аудиото. Той ще направи след някакво време, ама... Аналоги, че бъгва, брат. Той ще се фиксне след някакво време. Вчера на 7 часа стрим не бъгна нито един път. Сега бъгна.
Did have, you know, Wrecker Revolver on one, set on the other, and they do have shields as well. Not expected out of this drop, but they're doing it bigger to stay alive. But actually immediately runs out Rangers through, and he said, nah, I do not want to fight that triple contested drop. They immediately move towards the west line. Elimination for Doxy, Chino, and Pablo revved up and go.
This is the bottom of the view because they completely shut out Striker and Tisco's teammate, who just nowhere left to escape. That's a really nice elimination to find too, especially considering that they were pretty much forced out of Rangers Ruin because of the third party.
Kind of hiding. They know their teammate down in that direction. All the builds, and he's trying to figure out, assess the situation. Can we get revive, boots back up?
Това така бъгва аудиото. Ами ако знаех, щях да го фиксна.
He tries to run away. Finishes the job. 2 straight knocks right out the start.
It's definitely going to be a bumpy road for
this
team. If this continues to hold strong here, but someone who hasn't had any issues with their early game, it's going to be Swizzy, Queasy, and Merstash.
Бъгва аудиото, откакто свичнах на новото пис на Ryzen, демек.
And Swizzy, even doing a great job, so got the round heading straight to the top. They're ready to start getting some tags in.
Oh my, another team aspect, Tika Cat. Did they say, you know what, we are affected one fight at Rangers Ruin. What's the harm in going to another? They make way on over towards the top. They said, you know what, we're going to chase them as far as we can towards the edge of the zone. Once they reach that point, they realize they don't have the loadout they want. 30 builds on one of those players, any item slot, they're immediately out. They're trying to figure out where they can pick up the scraps from.
But you don't want to be already with scraps when players like Marius, Pixie, and Vanya just have so much at their disposal. Uncontested, always.
Брат, пока не мога да го фикса.
And they tend to more often than not. But the visuals brave finish. They might have to say about it. They went for an attempt at this plan line. It was delayed, but they were able to, you know, follow through that last lobby.
Е, така добре ли от звука вече?
Championship. If I've ever seen a Cinderella story, this will be one right here. But they have so many juggernauts in their path. Not just Merstash in the trio, not just Pixie and Marius, but Seti, and Rapid as well.
Something that took place in the last lobby, Jacob, is that we saw many of our top 10 players on leaderboard getting eliminated early on, and Pollo, Acer, Acorn. Well, there's
Браво бе, браво бе. Той още ли е бъгнато това аудио, бе, брат? Защо бъгва така това аудио, бе? Бах ти тъпото Ryzen PC, брат. Шибания Ryzen. Holy fuck, брат. Не си купувате Ryzen никога, гайс. Holy fuck.
Just like this, so a huge change in the game plan coming into the weekend. Boyle's not going to slow down, doesn't want to stop or be denied this opportunity. And quick picks up that elimination for its side. OCE is out of this lobby in game 10, and that's continuing to build the confidence for Poyo, Agers, and Acorn.
The main reason why they're even pushing this far south is because the team that they've typically trying to establish a little bit of surge action. FKS, Hero, Halad, they have not been faring well off spawn. And so when Trio being eliminated, well, Acorn, Agers, Poyo, you've got to look elsewhere. So where do they end up? Tackling Alex in on lines. That might be a recurring theme. So where do they end up? Tackling Alex in on lines. That might be a recurring theme.
Майко, той нищо не са чувал, брат.
Just how stone-faced they have been between each of these lobbies. They're starting off day 2 in that 8th place position. They have been getting pushed lower and lower in that leaderboard.
Yeah, more and more teams choosing to rotate early, not giving them the surge that they were looking for. To this right here, it may not be off the drop on the spawn. They're all looted up, ready to go. Back at Ranger's Ruin, Tayson looking across. Pablo's there. He's going to go ahead and try to disengage as far as possible using the crash pad, even if that means going further away from where the zone's actually at. And you can see why Gazzetta, Way, and Scarpa have been third-partying Ranger's Ruin all weekend long. But they have that awareness to watch out for it.
The difference, though, is that they've been third-partying a weekend Roxy or a weekend. Now they're having a deal with Roxy, Pablo, and Joe. Perfectly healthy and ready to strike.
Той принципно са фиксвал тъмносевите след една минута, ама явно днеска реши да е цял ден. Ало. Брато буга само звука от операта, не знам. I guess няма да съм на опера вече.
Side of this fight, EpicPartner kind of stuck down below as a solo, but with Paper and Victor B being a distraction, down below get as a solo. The HP, Paper and Victor moving up being a distraction. They figured a way on the side of Malbuka walks and pings to converge in the same box. This is their chance now with all those extra hills. This is their original surge base. Just gotta sit towards the middle and figure out the plan for EpicPartner, Victor B, and Paper, so that way they can try to make that smart move. But Victor B, Paper, EpicPartner, they're just gonna go ahead and disengage on out. They got that early storm surge damage, and now they just want to beat teams on that rotation.
Just looking to get a little bit of space creation.
При мен не прекъсва аудиото, това е нещо от OBS. И нещо с звука.
Too ambitious, trying to just crash pad out directly in the line of sight there from Malbuka and Ping. Porsche going to eat some damage in exchange.
Poyo, Agers, and Acorn. Not only did they get their Demon Debris Medallion, the mythic weapon, they got the eliminations onto Anon, Resign, and Alex.
Нещо от OBS,
immediately moved towards the eastern side of the map. One of the only teams on this side of the map having access to that bunker, and they immediately take it. And this is where they start to replenish everything from materials to resources, their loadout. And since they're ahead of all these other teams in that path, they have the time to go ahead and continue to rotate towards the north. Same thing for some of these teams that are working their way from the top down. Savage Chat reason, even though they are missing some shields, it's in the name of Storm Surge. Taking those shots,
Браузъра не е проблем.
that way they don't have to worry about it later in the game.
Аз го чувам перфектно. Не е от браузъра. Ако беше от браузъра, я щях да го чувам така.
Reason able to utilize some of that Flowberry Fizz, their surge base, obviously stockpiled with more than enough resources, so not too heavily in danger, but at the same time fully aware of the fact that teams are looking to try and catch them weapon.
Yeah, for that team that knocked down, even though they survived, it's like, do I invest the resources, build another surge tower, or I just try to rotate? Chino, Frodoxy, Pablo, one of the more aggressive teams in the lobby, especially Chino. The most eliminations in all of the Fortnite Global Championship so far when it comes to individual players. And guess what? Let's add one more to that total as Gabzetta goes down. And that's a little bit personal. It's not just for the points to catch up on the leaderboard. It's not just for the Storm Surge. It's just to shoo that fly away from their picnic.
That's really all it's been, kind of just that gnat in your face. They won't leave them alone, but you know what? For Frodoxy, Chino, and Pablo, when they've actually got some materials and a loadout to work with, this is the last team you ever want to get caught up with in a box fight because they have such a commanding presence in those aggressive instances.
Какъв е проблема и защо се прави от само себе си?
We might have missed it, but Chino's gonna make sure we do not miss all the action. That was only his first elimination. We saw this one on the Gabzetta, so he went back to back with a little bit of help from Fred.
Why'd that look like a little edit course though? He's just like, this is just another day for me. Like another day at the office entirely. But King, PH Zen Phaser, scouting out the area. Never want to leave yourself too overexposed, but Frodoxy, no intentions of slowing down just yet. Now they can finally enter this fight. Tayson has been knocked. Chino, once he gets going, it's like impossible to shut him down. And Chino, side by side, racking up the eliminations, several now to boot. That's just on his own head. Frodoxy and Pablo also rocking their own individual eliminations, but they are a little bit hurt. They do have so much to bring themselves back up to full HP though, Jacob, because of these win outs on their fights.
Yeah, even after taking down Tayson's team, you still see Focus, Upple, Mixon, here, Tinka Aspect, and their trio were there at one point or another, but they immediately saw what was going on and said, hey, it might be better for us to try to go to the zone, worry about Storm Surge a little bit later. At least there's two teams we could try to look back on and try to focus. Fred underneath, along with Pablo and Chino. They're just trying to assess the situation. They know another team is up there. They just don't know exactly where they're positioned at.
After yesterday, Upple, Focus, and Mixon, we saw opportunities for where they were able to shine, but dealing with a team like Frodoxy, Pablo, and Chino, it's usually not worth sticking around. Better to just prioritize the positioning, shoot out the crash pad from behind you, but both these trios just gonna head their separate directions, two different styles of rotate.
Ooh, it might not be the biggest upgrade for them, but they are going to be able to replenish their crash pads if it does spawn out. Maybe upgrade their Sentinel pump if it does drop as well. 3 different ones, but that's what they get. A little bit more loot to work with once they get that rank upgrade. And it's only a B rank though, so you can see the kind of the slow play, no eliminations, not necessarily their game plan though.
I like this dead side wraparound though from Seti, Panzer, and Yapko. They've got early surge already locked in, so they're gonna opt to already make a direct line in towards the elevation of the mountain range and potentially push back other teams that might be looking to try and rotate a little bit after the fact.
I can agree with that. Takes in Yamzo. This time around, the zone pulling towards the north, which means they kind of have the luxury to be able to sit in their base. I believe this might have been the team that we saw kind of get chopped earlier on in this game, but as we tune in, Ager is feeling a little bit of struggle. That's Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual on the other side. They have to abandon ship in terms of getting Agers back into the game, so Polio, Acorn, they're going to have to work this as a duo, and that's a huge disadvantage going against NA champs, Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual, and they're looking to get aggressive. There's only one way back into this game, and it's through eliminations itself.
This is starting to feel like Major 3 and NAC all over again right now, Jacob. Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual seemingly in the driver's seat right now for this box fight. That is up until Cold loses a good chunk of his shield. He's going to retreat back towards the high ground. Boyo, Agers, side by side, holding down the slower layer. But the longer this drags out, the more time it provides for Ryu, Snowy, and Saad to move in.
Yeah, just a kind of scary situation because even with the knock on the Agers, Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual didn't play aggressive, and that's usually something you see out of this team time and time again, especially since they have a deficit that they have on the leaderboard, 14th place versus 18th. You'd expect both of these teams to try to make some sort of a play, but they also know this is the two teams we've been seeing all year long essentially battle it out for 1 and 2. in terms of actual top spots and grand finals leaderboards, but in terms of the community as well.
But Boyo and Peterbot, Jacob, they were just global champions. They did that together. And now, here today, both of them going on huge recovery tours just to try and bring themselves back into contention for top 5. But Peterbot, Ritual, Cold, they're just continuing to push themselves up the cliff face.
With another fight.
Whether or not Acorn Pollo even decided to pick back up on that engagement. But right now, Reason, Chap, this is dangerous. They've got Gina, Broxy, and Pablo trailing them, and they've already lost Mr. Savage. They want to play for the reboot, but they've got to deal with Hero first.
Yeah, they're kind of faking like they were going to try to crash pad away, get somebody on the other side to make a mistake. Even though they didn't peek, they realized where they were and immediately start to put pressure down. They have the Stinger, they have the minigun. They are going to melt through these builds if they could focus all on the same target. For Reason and Chap, they are 1,300 damage above the threshold, dropping down to 1,100, but they have more than enough to focus on trying to get Savage back into the game. No other team, or at least not many, can say that they have that amount of comfortability. And so for Doxy, Gino, Pablo, they're just going to continue to try to rotate, use the Flowberry Fizz, use the crash pad to get out.
We can get a chance to look in and see what happens. Mr. Savage is just too preoccupied dealing with Halad on the other side of his wall. Doesn't get a chance to close off his back tarp. That is a big play to come into fruition there. It's going to be a huge setback too for Chap and Reason to try and bring it back. But Marius, Pixie, Vanya, they've got so much damage right now above the surge threshold, Jacob. All they want to prioritize is the high ground hold. They have made that very clear here today.
Yeah, and they got a smooth rotation in. Every other team in front of them is also doing the same thing, so they're not going to be contested by many up until the point where they start to hit that line on the zone. You see it's getting stacked more and more on the south side, where more and more teams are going to have to rotate into. On the whole northeast side, there's 3 teams stacked up. Malibu, Pings, and Walks, one of them. Day 2 today, their run has been impeccable. 345 points, doing their best to close the gap as much as they can, but they're kind of in a tough situation here. Talked about 3 big teams all around, ready to fight if they make a mistake. And they're all going to rotate out first, beating Malibu, Pings, and Walks on this rotation.
Smart that they're not trying to overcommit. Talking about overcommitments, Chap sees FKS. They were trying to bring him back into the mix, but Jap's taking full advantage of the situation, just bragging out entirely. FKS, the secondary elimination there. And that is exactly what Chap and Reason needed. Breathing room. Maybe we'll see Mr. Savage back in this one.
Swizzy and Mustache, this is a moment. This is a moment because they've had 2 lackluster games so far. One decently well played one. That 185-point gap got dropped to 81. But with still an 81-point lead, it's about a game or so. They have a cushion. They just need to execute here and now. They cannot wait, because if they falter early, that's just opening up the floodgates for anybody and everybody to start to catch up.
But the north side of the zone, it's starting to pull so much congestion. Clicks, Iyamzo, Higgs, they want to take over the positioning that Curly, Reed, and Cooper currently reside in. But they don't even realize just on the other end of that box, Gino, Pablo, Fredoxy, and you want to talk about guys who are looking for a fight. Just look at the amount of eliminations they've already acquired by 7th zone. This is one of the few teams, it might even be the only team capable of dropping a double-digit elimination win.
Capable, they did it yesterday to close out the day. 19 eliminations. This is giving me flashbacks of just that. They're moving from Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo to a whole nother trio towards the north side of the map. That's Baka, Pars, and Pump. And they have the luxury. They can wait. They can let that team make a mistake, but you're seeing Storm Surge really start to affect this lobby. Kanata, even while he's 1,500 above, finding opportunities and not trying to let them pass. They started off the entire tournament with a Game 1 victory royale, and doing their best to remain consistent ever since. NA's best hope to win the entire tournament and stay inside of the top 5.
Got a lot of surge, zone, pull, rather favorable for the time being. And being in that 4th place position, Vortex, Goofy Mountain, it could be a real threat, but Canada just immediately pushing them back. Don't start trying to peek our direction. Still, Sphinx, Buzz, and Shadow, they didn't get the memo. They're still willing to try and cross over, but Reason smothered. Trying to see if he can live. Aspect gonna be knocked though, and that's everything for Reason right now. He needed some form of a lifeline and the life jacket from that elimination. If he can get to the body loop, but no! Another team mixed in and Upful, they're gonna take over.
Yeah, just a little bit more than those siphon materials. Upful and Mixon, just like you said, they went ahead and stole all of that loot from the other loot that Reason desperately needed, but he gets tagged up.
Nice.
Oh my, a turnaround 180, turns and burns to take down Kazi. And I was talking about how low of resources
Ще бие по-8 зоната обаче.
Reason knows Amar is watching. He's trying to deliver the best sort of birthday gift, and what's better than clutching up a nice set of eliminations here to keep the dream going. But Reason starting to get a little lobby focus. Some heavy hitters right in front of him. Demas, Darm, and Pix. But as a solo, what more can he do? He has to stay hidden. He has to conceal himself in the backside of the zone. Mustache, he's lost his IGL. He's lost his other fragger. It's Poyo!
Swizzy умира точно на игра, брат.
Swizzy eliminated.
Poyo има 9 кила, човек.
But the double revive, they might be able to pull it off. They're gonna drop all the way down to the bottom of the mountain face, but it was too far. They weren't intending to stand themselves directly outside, but the zone pool is saving them.
Yeah, the zone pool.
Това е много добре за Марио, отколкото те вече имат шанс за first place и Quizzy може да не види победа, брат.
Having some difficulties in this game, it leaves high ground open for none other than Vanya, Marius, and Pixie. Does anybody challenge that high ground for Noxy, Chino, Pablo would probably be one of my best bets, but you can see a huge amount of resources missing. 6 HP, only finding bandages, and eventually we'll go back to 2 empty slots.
There's so much metal, all these pre-existing builds, and not only that, but the shift in elevation. Pixie well overhead. He might be able to even see this team scattered through the low ground. They're trying to get whatever hitting positions they can, but Proxy, he runs into the wrong box. Proxy's immediately put down into the dirt. Pablo and Chino, they're gonna have to get it out the mud, and Pablo with the elimination onto Upful now means that they're stuck inside the building. They've got to break out.
But this is the point in time in the game. Top 7
Мане. Марио скал на хайграунд отново.
Start to click in with every team that falls and cascade further and further, with the eventual winner getting 65 points. But in the feed, you see Chino, he's going to go down.
Oh no.
Yeah, that puts pain and hunger inside. His Pix is now feeling that same pressure. He's gonna fall. Demas he has to try to figure out a way out of this situation because they have no resources. Darm, they're separated just a little bit. No materials. And now the zone and somebody else moving in. But oh my, he does it again. Big Darm is gonna take down Poyo.
And this is exactly why
back to knock on the Poyo button.
Poland. Darm just doing everything he can to make the impossible happen. But Marius, Pixie, Vanya, they're just so healthy overhead. Darm is gonna meet his demise in the hands of Mustache, but Mustache just
no way, брат. Щупи бюрото направо, човек. Как няма? Виж кой тим е на High Ground Second Place. Марио Скал. Ако спечелят, брат, тази игра, ще гъс до гъс първо и второ. След тази игра остават още 9 човек. Те бяха толкова ахет, 200 поинта.
Don't let me get too ahead of myself. 2 different games today. We saw them on high ground and they faltered. This could be third chance to Tarm.
But look at the amount of materials they have, Jacob. 80.
Reason и той като още живее, топ 14.
They are so strongly overhead. The rest of the lobby collapsing into itself. It's cannibalizing itself underneath them. They hardly have to do anything at all. Just spray, suppress, while Pablo continuing to try and push through the storm sickness, tearing away at his back. He finally
сплитват ги.
inside the zone, but they've been chopped.
И тримата живеят обаче. Канада. Пробва се за хай. Леле, Марио Скал колко е добър. Убива болт на хай. Какви максове се раздават тук. Все още тримата са живи. Канада напуска хай. Даже и ръпът остана на едно тук. Канада не успяха да вземат хай. Марио Скал спря това да се случи. 572 точки, брат. Ако уинна тази игра, даже ще е овъртейк на Quizzy, maybe. С още няколко кила. Клик си играе с зона. Умира го. Топ 8 maybe ще умре. Топ 7 май взе. О май гот. Мъската в EndGame. Кинг отново 336 точки, 5 кила, 3 трилта. Много добри 3 трилта остават. Кинг обаче, Кинг трети. О, Марскал, мъската много добре. Бе, Марскал умира. 2 в 3. Фикшен 1, 3 в 1. Или... No way. Има 40 секунди да се затвори зоната. Обаче има твърде много билдове. Дали ще успее? Ваняк? Не. Тук вече няма билдове. Успява да краш падне. Има 29 секунди обаче. Той обаче знае OXTR локацията, ако има още лайтове обаче. На стърж базата си, може би, ако има, няма. Не отива на там. Бандаж номера 15 секунди обаче. Shadow. Не, той е в зоната. Ваняк може би ще умре. Освен ако не отиде до базата си да не намери нещо. Отива на там, но... Медкит не! Медмист имаше също така. Минус 11 точки от тая игра. Ако я беше уинал още 11 точки, ще има. Толкова клоус. Трябваше още от по-рано да отиде към базата си, брат. Не знам, защо се оглеждаше. Ако беше отишъл по-бързо, братле, вместо да се оглежда.
I know, Muzz, that you went down first, but what was it like watching these two?
Wait, no, I was alive.
Oh, you were alive. I'm so sorry. I was literally eyes on 3 parts of the screen there. So you were alive.
Yeah.
What was the heel-off like?
My heart was beating, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was beating. Now, I've always wanted to win a game on LAN, and I finally did it. So, shout out to the best Ivcho on the world.
Congratulations, Muzz. I mean, Benji.
Yeah, you did it, the first victory royale on this grand final for you. How do you feel, man?
I feel great, you know, I'm just happy right now. My heart was beating so bad that last game, but we pulled through.
Il est trop heureux, tout simplement, c'est vrai, c'est la première, il a dit, c'est que du bonheur pour lui. Première victoire royale dans ce tournoi pour ce trio.
I feel like your hearts might have been beating, but you were full on confidence. Yeah. For you, was your hand shaking or were you just eyes on the prize?
Frankie, we had this interview twice before. This ain't nothing new to me, you know what I'm saying?
Sphinx, you do have form at Global Championship, but how does this one compare to Lands of the Past?
It feels good, you know, we low-key sold day one. We're bringing it back today. It just feels good to know, like, I still got it in me, you know what I'm saying?
Of course you've still got it in you. This whole team has got it in them. But what's the plan now? What is the purpose of these next 2 games?
Change nothing, it's working today.
It's worked so well for you. Thank you so much. Everyone, please give it up for Shadow, Sphinx, and Maz! The crowd love to make noise, and I'm loving to hear it. We're going to take a break.
Във Франция, Лион. Все още са first place, обаче давара си точки, брат. Ги делят буквално. И ако уиннаха, щяха да вземат още 15 точки, брат. Още 15 точки щяха да вземат Те даже нямат победа, holy fuck, колко втори места имат, бе? 1, 2, 3, 4 втори места имат, нямат нито една победа от 10 игри. И са second place. Единствените в топ 8, в които нямат победа, брат. Само единствено първата им игра е била много зле. Другите са под топ 7, брат. Можеше да го уине, брат. Аз не знам защо не отиде към метките по-рано. Той се оглеждаше. Чаха да го уинна това. Пик с 3, 4 канал. Канада 5, Паул са 6 вече, 11-10 кила. Малибука 7, повършат са ден 2. Вико умряха от азиатците пак, брат. Ужас. Топ 8 са. Мистер Савич топ 9, върнали са малко. Бразилците топ 10, брат. Така ми паднаха доста. Тези двете игри, ужас, брат. Шаха да са топ 6, мейби. Кликса 12. Мъската става победа върнаха топ 14. Питър Боса топ 16 и те връщат малко. Вчера бяха 31. Алекс са 22. Трейгера са умрели много ръли. Те сънката имат 8 олспална, брат. А не, тази игра даже са оцелели, ама са умрели после. 7 олспална начи.
Let's go.
There's only 2 chances left for every team in this lobby from around the world to get points and rise up that leaderboard. We're seeing the top 4. Anything is achievable. But we had Levin on the last broadcast hyping up, representing EU. I had to bring a brother from NA over. Vivid is going to grace us here this time around.
Jacob, they had to bring in all the stops for this one. We've been talking about it all day. Yeah, NA's looking a little rough. We're still fighting for third place right now, but we know how the fights early game are going on. It's all about Rangers' ruin.
And Tayson, gonna be the first touchdown, grabs the chest, Chino running around, but nowhere.
Tayson умира 2-2.
With the sweeper finds Tayson, it's gonna be Chicho brought down next by Prodoxy, 2 versus 1 scenario, but Atris, it just has a real chance. Atris takes out Pablo. It's all down to the 1v1, and Prodoxy immediately heading for the high ground, doesn't want to get trapped with the swarm, but that separation, he hasn't had a chance to utilize his shield potion just yet. Atris on the other hand, wrapping around, taking out, stopping Fred in the midst of healing, but Atris, he just can't close the gap. He doesn't have any materials. Prodoxy doesn't have a whole lot left to work with either, but he has the build in his favor, and Atris, he'll opt to try and trade, but it's the patented Fred lurk, and he's creeping up. Atris can't get the revive. Prodoxy through the window, and Atris still can't find it.
He got multiple pieces through that wall, and even the cone inside. He's trying to distract him long enough while he backtracks and tries to go revive for revive. So no longer going to be a 1v1. Tayson and Pablo are back into the game, but business as usual. Kazi, Tinka, and Aspect are looking to third party this fight.
Oh my gosh, it's the same story over and over. The hesitation comes in, right? The elongated fight. We're still in a 2v2. We know the third party is going to come in, but if you take a look at the map, there's only one orange arrow. Maybe the full commit has not come in just yet. We'll have to see how this one plays out.
It's almost like sending in the lone scout to try and figure out, is this really worth getting involved with just yet? But Tayson, Atris, they've got such an advantage now over Pablo and Prodoxy. Their HP rapidly dwindling away here as Tayson now just waiting for that final opportunity, but without a shotgun, he doesn't feel confident enough, and for good reason, because one good bump shot could be the end of it. Prodoxy's gonna opt to try and get away, but Atris just too accurate. Atris immediately panning the other direction, and that'll be the end of Prodoxy's team.
When Prodoxy hit that crash pad, Atris had 9 medium bullets. By the time he got that elimination, 5, 4 well-placed shots. He gets the elim, they win off spawn, and just like Prodoxy had those chances, a comeback opportunity for Tayson.
But Vivid, you know, we've been watching that off spawn take place all day long. You have to expect that surely third party is still going to want to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, the reboot, right? That's going to be on their minds. Is that going to be possible? We know when you go ahead and reboot, there's a giant beam that comes down from the sky. Lets everybody know, but oh my gosh, Darm, Damus, and Pix, they're in trouble.
Yeah, they're in trouble. Pix is going to be down. Malabuka walks and pings. They have advantage in this fight, and they know how stacked the top side of the leaderboard is, and they're not scared. They want to continue to put the pressure. It's just a matter of, did they see Darm? Did they see Demus rotate over in that direction towards the rainbow field? And I do think they did. Crash pads coming out. They're trying to close the gap.
Battle between 3rd and 7th. It's just not worth it. The juice is not worth the squeeze here for Bolin and Demus Darm. Fortunately enough for them, Malabuka not checking the bushes. A little bit lackadaisical.
And this is how we know it's game 11, right? With only a couple chances left for some of these teams to pick up points. This is atypical for Malabuka, Walks, and Ping. We've seen them kind of base up early every single game. But now the push, the
Еми,
aggression,
Куизи още имат
they gotta
лида.
think about the points
Ще
they
видим
need.
какво ще направят.
It's just all too close for comfort.
Буга не е
Swizzy,
клал
Queasy,
на
and Murstache know full well they had such a monumental lead to start the day, but it only took several matches, and they've watched those points quickly go the other direction for everybody else except them.
Yeah, you're getting a little bit of a deeper look, looking towards the north, trading shots with Mr. Savage and the entire trio towards the west. It is going to be goofy in the trio, even with a knock there. There's just too much time and distance separating these two teams. It's going to take a crash pad and a Flowberry Fizz, and it still might not even be enough as we jump on board Sadie Panzer, Yapko. The crowd just constantly letting them know how they feel, and since the zone is coming over towards the Kappa Kappa factory, you can see this is where they're going to set up to try to get that damage.
I mean, yeah, this is something that we've seen across every single one of the games, right? Yapko just kind of based up early on. Seti, you might be looking at his inventory like, why does he have nothing in there? That's because he's going around the entirety of the map, making sure that his team is going to be set up very, very nicely for the rest of the game while they go ahead and pick up all of the damage.
Elsewhere, you see some of the action going on. Baka getting a knock onto Adapter. Hasn't cleaned up the elimination yet, but Darm has been found out. Walks in pings. They take
Най-богатия Fortnite играч ще ми между Кликс и Буга. Ама силно Кликс.
Ends it as well in the 1v1 against Demas. Third place is out of there.
Malibuca might have missed them the first time, but they knew they had to still be local to the area. There's only so far that they could actually squirm away to, and the fact that they just get completely ran down here by Walksping and Malibuca, those are the types of aggressive plays you have to make when you are in 7th place and you're staring down a leaderboard that is so tight-knit.
The crowd just constantly cheering for anybody on the MA or Havoc squads, letting them know, like, hey, take our energy, you guys have this. As Yamzo clicks in Higgs, different strategy this time around. Instead of sitting on top of Supernova Academy, they're going for a lurk. Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts, and they do see all the information in the feed. So if any of them do get knocked, I expect Clicks and his trio to run straight over and try to get the chop and clean up what could be good damage.
Yeah, but this is something that we've seen before, right? Socials were kind of talking about how Clicks, yeah, they might have gotten a knock on this exact trio before, but they were a little bit hesitant to go ahead and push, right? Are we going to see something similar right now? Will they go ahead and full commit? I mean, 12th place going into game number 11. You would imagine they got to be thinking this time, we got to go for it.
But sometimes if you let it sit too long, your plate starts to go cold, and if they don't act fast, they're going to maybe have to watch this opportunity completely pass them by. The big thing here, too, is that Kanata and Bolts, they're not even replenishing their shields. They are totally content with being knocked inside of their surge base. They've got Rapid, healthy. I mean, that's your IGL, so of course he's just refarming all of the materials, looking for extra ones as well.
I mean, that's scary. You're sitting on the global stage right now. I can tell you right now, Jacob, if I was sitting up there with no shield on, knowing that so many of these competitors have been making plays on these exact type of bases, we've seen it time and time again, not only throughout the year, but throughout this exact competition, that plays, these sneaky plays for the bottom of these surge towers, they are made all the time. You have no shield right now?
It's just in my head, I'm thinking, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. They're trying to watch out for Rapid. They know the focus on top over at the OXR HQ, and they know Rapid is wandering around on the low ground, replenishing all of the materials that they use to build that surge tower, and they're just waiting, like I said, for that knock or for an opportunity to get that 3v1 onto Rapid, whichever one comes first.
But if Rapid goes one step too far, Iamzo, Clicks, Higgs, the moment that they realize that he's by himself, Rapid would actually be the best player to hit a nice 3-2-1 on, because he's the one carrying everything for Kanata and Bolts right now. He has max materials just about. He's still trying to finalize just the last few components. Clicks, Iamzo, Higgs just creeping forward. Rapid starting to make his way up, but they've been exposed. They took moments too long, and now Rapid, red alert Mayday situation here. But Bolts, Kanata with a plethora of heals in this surge base. This is not the place to be for Clicks, Iamzo, and Higgs.
Instantly trying to go for that chop down. All three are up above.
О, дали? А, не, писна нас. Баше болса на едно.
Damage getting bolts down to just a sliver of HP, and they're immediately pushing over. Vivid said it, and he meant it. They are learning their lesson. 331 points. They fell outside of the top 10 with 2 games left. They have to take these chances.
But Vivid, do you think that it's still worth trying to force this engagement, knowing full well that you're looking at a team like Canada that's got more than enough surge, and they can afford to stick around with all these heals?
I think the power behind the push for Clicks, Yamzo and Higgs right there, it was all about the surprise. Rapid with an MVP performance, acting like a bird in the sky, making sure that he kept his 2 teammates safe. Shout out to him, right? Because when you look at the leaderboard, they're in 5th place right now. If Rapid doesn't see them, everything falls apart. So shout out to Rapid for catching that one. And Mr. Savage, Chap, and Reason, they've been having a pretty good weekend, but towards the end of the competition right now, it seems like they're slowing down.
Do have to believe it's a little bit revitalizing though when you watch Reason put on such a strong solo performance in the last lobby. That tells me they've still got gusto and they're still willing to throw everything on the line to make it work.
Yeah, they're chasing right now. Agers, Acorn, and Boyle, they see Mixon outside by himself. They're trying to clean up that elimination. Upful is going to go down as well. No more knocks coming into play, which means that full team is down and out of this lobby. The aggressive plays coming late into the day here on day 2 for Agers, Acorn, and Poyo seem to be working out.
Jacob, you're talking about aggressive plays. We've obviously been able to take a look at a couple of them, but if you look in the top left, the player count right now, 59. This lobby is getting destroyed by aggression right now.
These guys are crashing on each other is what that tells me, Vivid.
Уизи обаче иска да убият Пикси, Марс, Хал и Ваняк. Ооо, дали ще успеят? Дали ще успеят?
He was the one that made the decision. I want to land on them. I want to challenge it, and it's not as direct, but it's still there.
Jacob, this is a strategy. They know they land OXR.
О, ето че първия хит. Ще успеят ли да го нокнат? Кракнат на лайт. No way.
Before he reaches the ground, he's out of render distance overall. Instantly comes the crash pad. Mustache, Swizzy, they're trying to rotate in that direction. Finally, they get another opportunity.
Ваняк бива нокнат.
Vanya goes down. Mustache, Swizzy, and Queasy are going after second place.
But what's going to be there faster? The double revive or Swizzy, Mustache, and Queasy? They're doing everything they can to try and collapse onto this position. Vanya's already been back up into the running, but they're going all in here. Swizzy, Queasy, Mustache, they're looking to control their own destiny. They want to take down Vanya. They want to make it so that game 12 isn't even close. But Mustache, Queasy, Swizzy, they're just not able to close the gap. And Mustache, he's lost too much HP. He's going to be forced to fall back.
This is it. This is the moment. Why wait till game 12? Marius, Pixie, and Vanya, they've given an opportunity here to take down first place and potentially take that spot.
Най-добрите файтери тук, братле.
He's probably realizing their backs are up against the wall, maybe even second guessing this decision to go ahead and try to surprise attack them. But they have the low ground. Marius, Pixie, Vanya, they have the high ground. And since they do have that, they have the decision to hold and pressure them down below or rotate out like you see here.
Quiz him. Отново продължава гонката.
Jacob, both of these teams are delaying their own endgame.
Something that we saw come into play in that last game, the Storm Sickness, getting chunks of HP ripped off in the end game, but they're continuing to go. They want to chase this one down, but Pixie on the other side, he's the most elevated. Vanya, he's on the low ground trying to heal the best that he can, but so Pixie is making sure to defensively hold that high ground.
Нямат много лайтс, не знам колко, 5 бандажа имат. Биват се. Ай, намерихме сплашки, брат.
They're throwing everything at this one. The inventory, all of the heals, they're disappearing. Marius is becoming
Мариус Халдър ще направи най-добрия клъч и тима му. Или Куизи ще направи най-добрият плей в живота му. Мариус Хал нямат никакъв лайт, освен бандажите на Ваняк или на Пикси. 3 бандажа, 2.
Vanya, Marius essentially at a standstill right now with Queasy.
They have the majority of the heals. You already see the slurp juice in the inventory, med kits being used. Essentially almost 200 HP and shields combined between these two, so they do have a little bit more of an upper hand. And I think Marius knows they're running out of HP resources to keep this fight going longer, so they are definitely now officially on the clock this deep in the zone. It is only the fourth one overall.
Пушим пъртка, навлизат в боксовете. Марскал набива много добра помпа обаче. С още една много добра помпа на 24 HP. И двамата умират, Пикси остава сам. 2 в 1. Успяват да ги убият. Държат първо място. Обаче има още една игра. Омага. Queasy успя, брат. 40 точки разлика, обаче тази игра ми трябва поне топ, не знам, добър топ ми трябва пак. Лич се умреха, бате, Питър Бот. 6 кила.
Peterbach, Cold, and Ritual. We just
did 6
eliminations. That one's gotta feel good. Coming all the way over from NA to the global stage. Kind of that back and forth that happens between those two trios. That one's gotta feel good, but I can't lie, Taco, right? Ritual with 4 eliminations himself, showing what a year's worth of mechanical training can really do on the big stage.
And we all witnessed the Richie 1v3s throughout the divisional cups, Vivian, and even in the majors, Ritual was putting up quite a stellar performance, but now things are gonna fall directly into the line of sight here for PH, Zen, Phaser, and King. They've already spotted out 2 other teams based on mountains right next to us. These next couple of rotates could be rather difficult, but Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts, they're still looking to press forward. They're actually trying to do it from underneath. They're hoping that they can just collect whatever leftover hard mats they can find.
With a sold-out crowd, you know they're going for M8. You know they're going for Havoc. So everybody at home, watching on Twitch, watching online, you need to give your energy to NA if you want to see a miracle comeback. Because 2nd, 3rd, 4th place, all of them down. 5th place, that's Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts, and a chance to close the gap. Especially more so if they can figure out a way to take down Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache. But we're now into the top 17. This is where placement points are going to come into play, and they're going to start moving quickly.
Vivid, how do you feel seeing this rotation by Savage, Reason, and Chap? It looked relatively healthy, but they're not the only ones. Other teams in EU definitely making their presence known.
Yeah, the chase is on right now for a couple of our teams, namely Malibuca, Walks, and Ping. The aggression early, they want to go ahead and catch up to Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts, right? That's the only team that is currently alive that is ahead of them right now. And as I say, that pressure starts to rain in.
Why does this look like one of the practice lobbies right now, though? Down to our last 17 teams and only 6 zone. Ping, Walks, Malibuca, they're trying to see if they can bring down Agers and Acorn with it. Pollo's already been claimed. Acorn, Agers, just trying to create a little bit of space, but they know this might be a fight that they can't avoid any longer. They're gonna have to try and take a crash pad out of here, but Malibuca, Walks, and Ping, they are fully wary of what lies ahead.
Yeah, and you can see in the mini-map, Acorn, Agers, they immediately rotated out with or without the reboot card. A couple more teams rotating in and around this path for Pings, Walks, and Malibuca. Could be opportunities for elims or more damage. They see that coming. They want to continue to rotate in. Right next to them, Queasy, Mustache, Swizzy, all trying to get this elevation differential for this next zone.
But just above them on the other side of this mountain face, Kanata, Rapid, Bolts, they see the
не ме стат се умре, maybe, да. Swizzy на едно и той. Swizzy, oh no. Swizzy успя да е в зоната, ама 4 билда.
And that's that investment What goes around comes around. If you want to sit and storm and fight
Суизи точно на едно кръв.
you want that one to be drawn out. You want to invest everything
И им
you
пува.
have into it. Once you realize that you got to make one of these rotations all the way up the mountain, all the
Рапет умира, може би Куизи ще вземе. Куизи успява да взима фул елим. Още 4 точки.
And now 5th place has just lost their IGL and Rapid, and it's Queasy and Swizzy that are doing the majority of that damage.
Swizzy трябва по някакъв начин да отиде до Queasy.
Can't get down. He has no mats. They were all on Swizzy and Mustache. They hadn't had a chance to actually drop any of their materials.
Много добър кол. W краш пад.
He's trying to bring Swizzy up with him, and now Swizzy manages to connect. What a brilliant play from Queasy. Most players would have probably taken that for themselves, but he said, nah, you're coming back up here with me.
That's just a shine. That's just a glimpse. That is 7,000 IQ and the selfless plays, and why we call him one of the greatest IGL. No, forget that. That's why we call him one of the greatest Fortnite players in the history of the game, and he's looking to prove it. If he could just close out these last 2 games, even with the loss of our stats, they're still.
Но, ако имаше екзотика, ще да го убие. Щеше да стрелни втори път по-бързо. Упър над тях. Трио, с което не искаш да се биеш.
He's not trying to bark up the wrong tree here after all. They've got to be a little bit more reserved here, Vivid. They don't want to overextend their welcome.
I mean, they're in the mix of things right now. They've gotten a couple of shots on a couple of trios right there.
Уизи умира. Уизи като соло. Нокна, но не. 16 умират. Всичко зависи от last game. Имат 40 няколко точки лид. Даже ако не е 50. No way, Pink се блъсна в него, брат. Вау. Накосвам да умре. Питър Бот се живи долу. Топ 1, топ 4 всички тимове са умрели. Канада са живи, обаче като до бразилците. Топ 10.
Even our 5th place team on that leaderboard missing a player and one of the more important ones into Rapid as Phaser, PHN, King. They know they're not in zone just yet. In fact, they might have one of the farthest pulls in the entirety of the lobby with Aspect, Tinka, Kazi in their path. They want to continue to roll through. Even with the med kits, even with the minis, they realize they are lacking materials and a ton of them.
Paying attention to the leaderboard of the last global championship. No minor region teams in the top 10. King, Phaser, PHN, they're trying to make that push right now. We want to talk about a push, Taco. Bolts towards the bottom of the mountain. No mats to work with. Top 5 as it currently stands. The push is on.
What a genius, though. Bolts recognizing that the zone's going to pull over this Big Ben tunnel face. He's going to take a little bit of a harbor safety inside.
Oh,
but
King,
he's got literally 1 HP and a dream. The small shield potion, he's managed to get it off. But Phaser, only 2 builds remain. He can't keep continuing to hold that leverage over King's head. Instead, Phaser holding on for dear life, but he needs to heal. He won't get the chance. He's gonna be eaten alive by the lobby.
Oh, he's props the crash.
Не, много тъп краш пад. Удари са някъде, брат. Ако не се беше ударил, ще
But a lot of those rank ups coming in, and that's an A rank upgrade. That could be fruitful for Bolts underneath, who has to start to think, who has to start to act quick, because he has only 8 builds, no heals in his loadout, and no mobility on top of that as we're going high up the mountain.
Bolts doesn't even get a chance really to try
Някакъв
stop
Middle
and
Eastern
check.
май
He's just making sure that he stays concealed towards that backside of zone. But on the high ground, Plaid, Hero, FKS, they've actually
Питър
managed
Бот
to
обаче добре игра за тях, 9 кила.
positions that we've seen them in all weekend long.
Peterborough, Cold, and Ritual, they don't want to walk away from this competition without at least putting some sort of a staple into it. They want to show everybody that, hey, listen, we had a tough time off spawn, but when we make it to the end game, we can put on a show.
Yeah, Bolts just went down off the
Мальбука
side of that
430 точки.
in this game has come to an end.
Дали Middle East ще спечелят една игра? Питър Бот! Питърбот на соло като хай срещу трима. Направо ги прави лут. Ето го истинският Питърбот, който всички чакахме. 3 в 1 на хайграунда, бате. Един е нокнат вече. Другите двама крак. No, обаче падна твърде надолу. 10 кила за тях. Дали ще дропнат 20 или 15? 27 човека живи, много добър ейм. Малебука е под тях. Мъс все още са живи и той. Ай дроп Ризан и Савич. Савич умира. И Ризан един бил топ 10. Няма никакви лайт хилове. Обаче намира някакъв мац. 3 метките е много добър мац намира. Не знам това дали беше борито на Савич. Хубав хил. Питърбот може и това да го уинат. Обаче ги сплифат някакъв тим. Все още държат хай. Вокс бива нокнат обаче. Малебука играе лайтовете, обаче няма да е задълго. Топ 8 за тях. Питърбот, хайграунда. Рид с 11 кила, вау. Купър умира обаче от Питърбот, Рид е на едно. Друг тим идва на хай. Питърбот стана много малко, Ивчоу на много малко, Колт в зоната. Право да хил на 11 билда на хай е някакъв бразилски тим отново, мисля, че е Колт до добър пъмп. Остава само Колт на 10 HP, живее. Ризан е това. Не успя да фейзне, онлоки топ 5. Ризан умира топ 4, добра игра за него като беше соло. Бразилският тим дали ще спечели Ками и Хари като дуо. Ками краш падва. На едно остава. Ками умира, Хери. 1-3. Ще бразилците 16 кила уин ще направят или? Damn. Good shit. Бразилците 16 кила уин. Мисля, че беше 16. We do, and I'm running over right now. This is the most exercise I've done all week, but it is worth it. Please, boys, on your feet. We've got Ricardo translating for us. Stand up, please. Striker, I need to come to you first. Още една игра, брат, още една игра. Lele, absolut cinema.
O que você tava pensando na tela, a última batalha?
Ah, a gente tinha que ganhar, né? Entrar no comeback, dar desconto pra chegar no top 10 aí e subir na tabela.
The only thought was they needed to win. They won the top 10, so that's the only that's everything they were talking.
And that makes a lot of sense because I don't think a Brazilian team has ever placed inside the top 10 at a Fortnite global LAN before. Do you think this could be the year?
Você acha que esse é o ano que um time brasileiro pode ficar entre o top 10?
Tomara que os brasileiros consigam ficar, não só nós, sino também o King, Fraser, PH que estão perto do top 10, então tomara que nós dois fiquem lá e seja história.
And I'm going to come over here if that's okay. Sorry, Ricardo. Cado, what has this experience been like for you? To get a victory royale, is this like the ultimate prize for you right now?
Como tem sido essa experiência para você ter esse vitória royal?
Bom, foi muito importante para nós, a gente precisava dessa vitória. Tava abaixo do top 15 e eu acho que com essa vitória agora a gente vai ganhar muita confiança para a última partida.
They needed that win. They were in top 15. That was very important here, and they can't wait for the last match.
Well, guys, we cannot wait for the last match after. It has been incredible to have you guys here.
Пошла игра номер последна 12.
Please, Leon, faites du bruit! Now, after this last game,
$150,000 на човек.
a world champion. So tell your friends, they're not going to want to miss this.
656 точки. Точно 50 точки имат разлика. Damn. А тия бразилците къде са? С 16 кила win са топ 14. Кинг са топ 11, брат. Та игра колко точки им дава? 129 точки, братле. Имбах си играта. Питърбот кои са? Питърбот вече са 12. Последна игра, ако направят добре, може да влезе в топ 10. Pixdarm Demos са умрели early. 28. Тетяпко Панзър. Топ 4. Канада. Може да влезе в топ 3. Малибука 6. Голяма разлика е тук обаче. Айдроп Каме са 7. Мистер Савич топ 8. Reasons добър клъч направи. Топ 3 взе. Придокси умряха Оспан. Много unlucky. Ще се конват и те. Ако не се конваха и те ще са мега лутим. Вино умират от азиатци 2 пъти, после от Middle East умряха мегата по ден 2. Се получава при тях. Маската топ 13. Кликс падат много назад, топ 17 са вече. Топ 17 те вчера бяха топ 10, топ 5 нещо от сорта. Арк и те паднаха назад. Бяха топ 14, са 19. OC най-напред е Алекс на топ 24. От като тим 7 с 2 кила са направили първият им EndGame. Може и да не са Dead Last, представители се OC тим да не е Dead Last, ами да е EpicPartner. Много зависи. Какво ще направят OC Last Game. Дали ще са Last или не. И ще видим какъв е това голям анаунсмент. Ако не е World Cup анаунсмент type shit, значи не. Е, сега има някакъв анонсмент или какво е това?
I'm sorry guys, this is hot off the presses. I need Benji right now. I need the translator. Guys, this is plans for 2026. Benji, put the headset on. Oh my gosh.
What's happened? What's happened?
This is for you. This is hot off the presses. This is what is coming for 2026. We're going back to doing
Ranked 2.0. FNCS Mid-Season Lane, Revolt Elite Series Lane, мобилният Series $1 милион, Ranked 2.0, Pro AM Returns, Lane Returns to Europe.
Il y aura une LAN de milieu de saison, pareil pour les FNCS Duo, une LAN les gars, une LAN.
2026 FNCS Duos, брат.
Une LAN, il y aura aussi une LAN les gars en recharge, le mode recharge, série élite.
Revolt Elite Series Lane. Точно е ленове вече.
$1 million mobile series?
Mobile tournament. Oh my gosh, les gars, un tournoi à $1 million sur mobile.
Okay.
Ето да видим.
Ranked 2.0.
Yeah.
Ranked 2.0?
Classé 2.0. Les gars, il va y avoir un nouveau classé. Incroyable, un nouveau classé, Zik.
We're getting another Pro-Am.
Un nouveau Pro-Am aussi.
Last game starts now. Who is gonna win?
It's all come down to this. Jacob,
голям прешър на първо и второ място. Дали някой ще ленни на Куиз, дали някой ще ленни на Мариус. Нека видим.
Yet again.
Not too soon. Business as usual on the
Никой не ги
north
конва.
side of the map. With almost a 50+ point lead for
Вино умира от азиатците отново, брат. Чино убиват Тейсън. Мариус Као го са го хитнали. Но и те са анкон. Кои взимат 50 точки лид. Трябва да измислят нещо. Или ще си играят за EndGame да направят 10 кила win. Или ще хинат. Рапът обаче лети.
Vanya's game plan for his team, but Ivcho, a little bit of off-spawn domination taking place here. He's got a big elimination onto Yuma. Blixie and Veto are not with him though. Coyota still looking to chase Ivcho out. And
Вико много се изнерви, брат. 4 игри умират от нея. 3 пъти от азиаци и 1 път от Middle East, брат. Траш толкова и ден 1 и ден 2 азиаците се стегнаха, брат.
Ones laughing and immediately set their eyes onto two different teams to try to continue to accumulate that early game surge. But they have to be careful. His teammate is on the other side and they are still down Yuma. They have to figure out a way to backtrack, but they have no time. Pablo, Chino, they're already trying to taste down Asia's best.
Hello? Can't really do much of anything from this position. He's just
Фридокси как набарват всеки файт. Не знам.
Hero currently, but Chino, Pablo and Ferdoxy, they've already got 3 eliminations on Chino alone. And Ferdoxy still keeping an open eye out for where Halat is headed next. Hero and his teammate glad to be far away from Chino, Pablo, and Ferdoxy, but these guys could be the real menaces of this lobby. They're just going to continue to try and get a clean sweep for everyone that comes into their path of fire here. Ferdoxy and Pablo really distributing some pain right now, and Hero, he just doesn't have anything to try and prevent himself from being taken out. Oppo, Mix and Focus. They decided to come crashing down on top of Chino, Pablo, and Ferdoxy, but Jacob, this is a box fight that I don't know if Chino's necessarily prepared to take it up, but he's got so many splashes, he'll be back to full HP in no time.
And this is a team right now to start the game. I know they have 411 points, but they were at 399.
Wow, Middle East team was
above them. I dropped Hadi and Cammy 434, and then even Ping Walks and Malibu at 441. If they continue to play in this pace, get these eliminations, and make it deep into the end game, they could overtake some teams on their way up the top of the leaderboard for pride, glory, and line in their pockets with that much more money, what they came for, as Ferdoxy continues to move forward, not slowing down, and Havad is going to go down.
And Ferdoxy's kind of been calling it out, even in the events leading up to this weekend. We know that we're contested. We know it's going to be tough. Winning likely out of the question for that trio, but they can still put on a strong performance to see what more prizing they can possibly secure.
Seti, Epco, Panzer, 506, only 6 points shy of Pix, Darm, and Demas. It was honestly not too far away from their current drop spot.
Вино много поза тях, брат. Имат 6-7 спална пак те.
Down outside of that top 2, or even top 3 or 4 for that matter. So it's going to take a good amount of eliminations if some of these teams on the outside wants to punch into the top 5, but better late than never could be the final opportunity that they have. As we continue to look around the map, seeing a lot of the same strategies going down as some of our previous games.
Haven't seen a whole lot of reason in chat. Mr. Savage trying to take up a surge-based position though up against Swizzy, Queasy, and Mustache. Whether or not this actually pans out in their favor is yet to be determined, but chat, Mr. Savage, Reason, definitely have had their highlight moments throughout this tourney.
Yeah, a team that's definitely had their ups and downs, and still, we talk about their story making it here. Barely almost missing out on a chance at the grand finals, but it was a 1-point differential. They made it in. All they needed was a shot. 2 points. They made it in to qualify for the global championship, and now Savage is on the cusp of a potential top 5 if he can perform well with some eliminations in this game. King, Phaser, PH Zen. They faltered. They fell out of the top 10, but they're just 1 placing down inside of that top 11.
Oh no! Pixie, Vanya, Medius, do they even have any idea of the intention that lies behind Ryu, Snowy, and Sod? They're looking to play massive spoiler here at OXR headquarters. If they catch Pixie and Vanya slipping, Marius racing across overhead. Right now, they're just trying to lock in their surge, not really anticipating anybody to be nearby. And even with Vanya overhead, they're so preoccupied with just trading out these
Този Middle East team провали всичко, брат.
Could be the difference here. Is Marius going to be able to stay strong?
You see, they don't want to give up their position. We saw Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo try to do the same thing to Kanada, looking all around. Marius does not even know, and you can see his loadout. He's the one for his team that's getting all of that extra material to replenish what they use for that surge base. He's getting all of those extra heals to consolidate them inside of their tower, but he is also the one that is exposing himself the most. Snowy, Saad, Ryu, they were able to close the distance and get inside of the OXR HQ.
We've got another perspective. Malabuka, Ping, and Walks here at Kappa Kappa Factory. They are just chasing down Pig, Storm, and Demas. They don't want to allow these guys the opportunity to try and maintain their position within the top 5. Malabuka, Ping, and Walks going on to the aggressive forefront here, but it's Ping who's opening up big shots here onto Demas, forcing him to pull further back inside of the box here. Malabuka, Ping from a separate direction. Demas, Darm, Pigs, they're trying to keep the hopes alive for themselves. Rookies of the year, essentially, Jacob, but they still have to break through these veterans.
Malabuka's using his experience.
Гайде, записайте се за турнира ми утре, отжите на Discord и видете да се записате за турнира ми.
But right now it is going to be a 3v3, but you see at the bottom of your minimap 2 teams from the Kappa Kappa Factory that could be looking for Surge to try to interrupt this one as Demas continues to scramble around.
Oh, Demas
no, 17 HP, 2 builds left. Walks continues to put down the pressure. Good thing for him. I do believe it was Darm reunited in the same box trying to hold the covers, but that leaves out Picks to go down. They isolated the 1v1. Malabuka, Pings, and Walks are hunting down 3rd place.
Darm, Demas, and Pigs might be phenomenal fighters, but Malabuka, Ping, and Walks simply having the material counts in their favor. They've completely shut off Darm's entrance back towards Demas. Malabuka trying to see if he can make that wing flank approach. Malabuka, though, big tag, but an even bigger one onto Darm. Darm's going to be put down. Elimination after elimination now as Demas meets his demise.
Demos като умират.
It definitely is with how tight
То Middle
that
East team
leaderboard is. Pick Darm and
нищо не
Demas.
направиха.
I just want to give them a huge pat on the back from underdogs to top dogs. These guys looking like a serious threat. Vanya, Pixie, and Marius. We saw that team floating around the OXR HQ. They did not get any opportunity to pounce onto Marius, so they're going to survive and live to tell the tale and hopefully shoot up that leaderboard.
I did see Vanya at the very last moment, though. He was already setting up for the pre-edit, so if Snowy, Vrad, and Ryu aren't careful, they're going to find themselves getting caught completely off guard. Seti, he might not be a fan favorite this weekend, but he's still looking to try and take over. iDrop, Gammy, Hadi, it's teammates, or former teammates, I should say, just looking to gauge who really got the better end of the deal.
Kind of decisions, crash pads, launch pads. And with Seti, Yapko, and Panzer right in front, that is the team currently in 4th place, 506 points, just shy of getting into another big money spot of the top 3. Swizzy, Mustache, Queasy, even with the zone pulling so far towards the south, they know it's very, very important for them to get their Storm Surge first. And then they throw one of those upgraded launch pads down, they hit the Flowberry Fizz, and they cover over 1,000 meters quickly. But as we tune in, Cold is already down. Peterbot on the back foot, but it's actually Ritual that fell. The 2 best fraggers in all of NA have a chance to fight back, but it's Malabuka, Walks, and Pings on the other side. Seti, Panzer, Yapko, they're in the mix as well, and one more team towards the north.
And a sandwich between some of EU's best and Peterbot Cold. They know what kind of a pickle they're truly in. Peterbot's got a couple of pre-edits set up already, but he knows he just needs to escape. Every dog has his day, and this one, he doesn't want to find himself losing the bone that was thrown him in the last lobby because they got a better placement than what they'd expected.
Middle East team над тях.
But obviously they're going to try to crash pad up. They just dodged disaster.
Oh, не, бе, на едно е останало.
Great damage towards the backside, just a sliver of HP remaining, but you see them kind of second guessing the decision. They don't know exactly who that is hiding there. So them being 2 versus the 3, They have to figure out if they want to push this or not, but a good opening opportunity with damage. They're creeping closer and closer.
And whether the crowd likes it or not, Peterbot and Cold, Ritual, they've actually had a pretty incredible day 2 performance, Jacob. They have completely leapfrogged their way up the leaderboard, and they're clearly still intent on just trying to see how far they can really go. They've gotten so much pricing from NAC throughout the entirety of this year, but now on the global stage, Peterbot and Cold as a duo, they might still be looking to bring Ritual back into this one.
Yeah, you gotta think that they do have that reboot card. They're kind of beelining it over towards Dystopia, but they have to be careful. Bakapars and Pump are already there trying to get scraps. To go back on over to Rangers Ruin. Prodoxy, Pablo, Chino. They got the boss down. The queen is no more, and you're seeing what that does. Not only do they get that OXR rank, but multiple slurp juices, splashes that they can use. They already have 419 points. They can only go up from here.
But we're looking at one of the only teams in this lobby that's truly capable of finding those huge elimination wins. And still, Jacob, this is one of the best loot loadouts that we have seen Prodoxy working with. He even admitted to it yesterday on socials. He's like, look what happens when I finally get a loadout to work with. And again, even though it's the last lobby, they have zero hopes of slowing down here.
And every placing down that leaderboard just gets more and more money. I should say upside. You got 450,000 for first place, 300,000 for second, 225,000 for third, and that's just kind of a showing of like every placing you go up, even if you might not be able to win, could be a life-changing amount of money. As Peterbot's going to go down to Victor V yet again. Victor V, that's like his second time or even more in this tournament, taking down Pete himself, even with Ritual back, a sliver of HP, forcing out the splashes. Cold and him have to reunite and figure out a way to get their teammate back.
Victor V might be the real Peterbot counter. Now that he's on 0 ping, people forget Victor V, when he's playing on West, he's tackling on 60 ping, so now we're getting to watch an elite young fragger on the come up. So excited to see where this goes next, because even though the weekend hasn't necessarily shaped up to the position they want it to be in, they've still got a lot of fight left in them.
That's kind of how they had, bro. He just trying to fire off. He's just hoping that his aim is better than the distance they can cover, but no!
Damn, full damage.
Basically taking himself out. The full trio looking to run him down. They do have the chance though. We saw Cold, we saw Ritual go back to Dystopia. Does he go and see Swizzy, Mustache, and Queasy yet again accessing the bunker? Not too far away from the hive, just outside of Rangers Ruin and Foxy Floodgates. And they now have the mythic. They have the medallion. They have the exotic. And they have time here to let every other team pass them on the zone and fight each other.
Victor B just picking up where he left off. Unfortunately, Ritual just not healthy enough to stay on both of his feet. He's just going to be tackled. It's only Cold left alive from that trio, and now Victor V, he'll have the opportunity to heal, but not only that, 4 eliminations, it's so much surge, and Jacob, realistically, Epic, he's trying to help make the calls alongside Paper. They still want to keep pushing forward, but Ryu, he's going to bring down Epic. Victor V now looking to give a little bit of backup here to a support player, but Victor V, he's stuck in a 1 versus 2 situation. They're trying to close in onto the primary fragger here, but Victor V, Pop's got to be going crazy, watching his son pop off in the crowd.
Without any builds, I'm not too worried. He does have that medallion, the double jump. It also negates fall damage as he quickly reunites with Paper on the other side. That's what they're going to start thinking about, how many builds that they have, what do they need to get, but they don't have time. They're immediately getting jumped on 1v3, multiple angles. Victor V still making plays, slides out of those builds. Paper still stuck. He's still trying to figure out an answer to the onslaught that's going his way. He continues to fight back. Ryu, though, almost full HP when it comes to the shield as well. Paper, no knock. Victor V is down. The full trio is out of here.
A little bit of tragedy has struck there for Victor V, Paper, and Epic Whale, but they still did enough. They left Cold in such an awful position. He's still got to try and work his way out of that location. Gino, Pablo, and Prodoxy, look at
Буквално ако имаха Антон локация, може би шаха са топ 3 със сигурно. И шаха и тя да се борят между първо и второ място. Ей тази локация ако имаха Антон.
You cannot expect the teams above you on that leaderboard to go down early. The level of competition inside of the top 10, I feel like, has never been higher. So you have to start to take matters into your own hands. And this is one of those teams, for Doxy specifically, that will play to win. He will make or break himself. He's not going to go down with at least trying. And that's how they found those 8 eliminations. But Cligs and Higgs, you see them lurking around, trying to grab those extra bandages, the heals. This is going to be a 2-tick zone.
Clicks, Higgs, they might just be looking to try and play for the reboot. They have no idea that Chino, Pablo, and Ferdoxy have already made their way back over to Rangers Ruin. They are creeping up on them. And Higgs, Clicks, they're just so exposed. Holding my breath watching this, Jacob, because I know it's only a matter of time before 3-2-1 comes through. But Higgs, he nearly puts it to the defense, but it's just not enough. Higgs is going to be knocked. Clicks scattered, left to try and fend for himself. But with 3 healthy players out of EU's powerhouse, they'll be put down, and Clicks eliminated. Chino, Pablo, and Ferdoxy hit their first double digit.
This might be game 12, but they're not out of gas just yet.
Уизи са хитнати малко. Май Мърстат беше хитнат.
Points on straight eliminations alone. We haven't even touched those placement points yet. They're shooting up the leaderboard faster than ever. I talked about the prize money differential, and that's exactly what they're after. Canada Rapid and Bolts, the same thing for them. To start the game, they were in about 5th place, but hot on their heels. There's so many teams trying to get aggressive to get those points. See in the distance, 2nd place, Vanya, Marius, and Pixie. Not going for the high ground just yet. 6th zone, more than half of the game left.
За какво да е unexpected? Буквално двата фейворити има Мърскал и Куизи, брат. 2 Антон на стан. Питър Бот изобщо не беше любимец да го уине той FNCS anyway. Като е дабл кон.
Try and overtake first place, and if Verstash, Swizzy, and Queasy get lobby focused, that could be the ultimate difference maker, but instead Swizzy fires back. It's gonna be a takedown. The elimination couldn't have come at a better time.
And that's 4 more points for them, inching themselves closer and closer to it being mathematically impossible for anybody to catch up. But again, no placement points just yet. That can truly shake things up, especially since they have a max pull across the map and a few teams trying to make it mirror that same rotation.
Друго е да обичаш някакъв плеер и да искаш да спечели.
They can continue that rotation until they make the zone, but Taco, more than half of this zone is over open water.
Not only that, but Swizzy, Queasy, and Merstash, they are white line crash padding straight towards the next zone. The fact that nobody has taken a shot at them
660 точки. След малко вземат плейсмент.
And they're continuing to scale their way down. We saw Ritual get eliminated yet again. Saster striking for some teams in front of Queasy, but better still, Seti, Panzer, and Yapko. They've still got a lot to settle here in this lobby. They find another elimination onto Adapter. Valor already taken care of by Visuals and a Minish, but Braids on the other side of these walls. Seti can't continue pressing forward. They're stuck inside their own build. That is until Yapko finds the elimination onto Visuals.
Yeah, much needed elimination as well. They were only 8 damage above the threshold. That's not a feeling of comfortability at all. Now they go for 300, but dropping back down low, that just goes to show how active this lobby actually is. But they continue to steamroll Mustache, and Queasy.
3 кила за тях. 12 точки още.
Swizzy, Mustache, and Queasy. They have so much ground to cover just from placement points alone, and the elims are doing them no favors whatsoever. But Mustache, Swizzy, it's like Queasy told them, just be off the leash, do whatever you want, just find those eliminations.
Up there it goes, School. trying to drop down low. He's the first one to get knocked. Sauko followed in that trend. He was trying to be a hero, but ends up a zero, leaving Arc
Пъмп на хайграунд ги десърч. Марио Скал чилват. Горе-долу са един от друг.
One of the most aggressive players on his region, but active surge for Pars, Pump, and Baka. 136 below the damage threshold. It does not matter if they have high ground, if they can't, and nobody's giving them any peaks. So they're going to go ahead and utilize that Flowberry Fizz to get a triple heal going out.
They're stuck looking to heal instead of being able to look for tags. Malabuka, Watch and Ping put on so much pressure, but now that they've made their rotation, we're a little bit exposed. Not sure that was enough for Baka, Pars, and Pump to get across the threshold. And now the medkit comes out. Baka doesn't have anything to work with. It's just those couple of crash pads. He might as well leave them somewhere for his teammate to pick up. But Pars, just looking at this loadout, Jacob, he's got barely anything to work with.
Zero ammo in his AR. It's literally just 19 shots in that Wrecker revolver. Luckily for him, he at the bare minimum has Pump on his team. But underneath, sharks in the ocean. They're ready to take a bite out of NA. They crash pad towards the high ground and they solidify it while Surge reactivates. Down goes Pump. Pars is now officially on the clock, which runs out, and he's out of the game for good.
Pink е на едно обаче. И умира. Учено. Куизи имат голям лид имат. Много е трудно вече Марио Скал да вземат първото място. Те трябва да умират точно сега в Куизи.
Surge.
62 points. That's the difference between first and second place. And its time is truly running out. They have to make sure Queasy, Mustache, and Swizzy somehow go down outside of the top 8 as they continue to move through. It's becoming more and more possible. There's 600 plus damage above the threshold.
Ако вземат топ 8, би трябвало да е 100% win вече за тях.
Where the weakness is for any of these trios trying to rotate in, even with Kanada down below, they're lurking, no visual audios, but if you look at the sky, that's Marius, Vanya, and Pixie.
Vanya умрял ли?
Throughout this mix, they're on that middle ground where all the chaos ensues.
Vanya just barely managing to start to get his life back up to a healthy level.
Split at high.
Queasy though, they see the high ground. They're starting to go for the chop. Malabuka gonna be forced to drop eventually, but can
Malabuka остава на едно някак си. И умира. Queasy, те на хай. Откъде скочат с Queasy? Битката между двата тима се случва на хайграунд. Суизи умира! Мертача на малко и той умира! Куизи! Единственият от триото, който става жив, обаче ще им трябват още килове. Ваняк е на много малко и друг тим идва. Ваняк умира. Топ 9. Бие 200 на Мариуската. Има доста триота. Не. Куизи са към 700 точки. Правото отново за хай. Всичко или нищо. Бразилският тим. Марио Скал на хай. Топ 8, 640 точки. Трябва им доста килове. Ето ги. 2 кила обаче не е. Умира. Пикси като соло, брат. 650 точки. Карто на хай. Добър крак. No way, умира! Queasy взимат 2025-та FNCS трио във Франция, Лион. 700 точки. Queasy успяха да спечелят, брат. Мариуската second place.
But there's still hundreds of thousands of dollars split between these teams still left alive. A good chunk of them.
Пабло обаче много добра игра за тях. Много добра игра за тях. 17 кила.
alive. Panzer's trying to move in, 20 HP. He's quickly running out of builds. Seti as well, but he's gonna go out. Cammy, his invitational partner.
Top 3.
Again, he ends his
Камето.
He said, no, you will not cast me. You will not take my money. As Cooper and Curly are still down below. 2v3 situation.
3v1.
3v1. I drop Dari and Cammy win the final
GG's.
game of the day.
What an impossibly
Queasy печелят, брат! Let's go! W за Queasy, брат. Queasy wins it.
Journey just to get to this point. 12 games, almost 700 points, 3 victory royales. They have done it.
It almost seems as if it hasn't even fully keyed in yet. Mustache and Swizzy, they're letting everyone here in Leo know. It's Gentlemates, it's Twisted Queasy bringing home the title. Fellas, lift that trophy high.
Good choice за Queasy to bate.
Aujourd'hui et pour l'éternité, vos champions, Queasy, Mustache and Swizzy!
You have been to so many of these global events. You've never placed inside the top 10. How does it feel to be a global champion?
It feels nice. I can't believe it. Still, like, we've been playing this year. We played so bad every grand. We should have won every grand, but now this is the day when we won.
You might not have won an FNCS major final in 2025. But that doesn't matter right now. You are the best team in the world. Queasy, you are the greatest IGL Fortnite has ever seen. Can you believe it?
I mean, after today's performance, I don't know about that, but I mean, we pulled through, we got it, so that's all that matters.
Well, talk to me about today. Yesterday, we were all saying this trophy was surely yours. But this morning, those first 3 games, they didn't go your way. Did you think you were going to have to settle for second place again?
No, I was playing only for first. That's why we did what we did in the game 11, and I mean, shout out to them, because we went into this like thinking like 99% we're gonna win, and it pushed it to the last game. So shout out to Vanix Trio. Like, I don't even know, they did amazing.
Guys, I'm with Swizzy. Je peux pas vous le dire autrement. Swizzy a les larmes aux yeux. Swizzy est ému. Regardez, Swizzy, I saw the real tears in your eyes. How do you feel, Swizzy?
I feel amazing. Last year I couldn't play with my duo. Now I'm here and I win.
Cette année c'était la bonne pour lui, enfin la bonne. Il est tellement ému, Swizzy. Good luck for the future.
Queasy верно не успя да ходи на one event за дивиза, брат.
What makes this a world-beating team?
Them too, just fragging ability. I mean, they solo clutched the game 11 with 2v3. I don't know. I try to do my best. Today, I feel like I underperformed by a lot, but they pulled through and they got me the win.
Well, you're not going to think about that anymore because you guys have a trophy to lift. Guys, please take your position. To Le Mans, please, one more time, give it up for your 2025 Fortnite Global Champions. It's Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache!
Damn.
I cannot believe it. In this moment, your global champions, Queasy, Swizzy, Murstache, taking it all the way to game number 12. To think, Kelly, at the beginning of this year, this trio formed, and we thought, what the heck are you talking about? This sounds like a high-caliber trio. To qualify, to bring it here, to push everyone else on land to their very limits, and now to walk away. Global champions. Guys, how does it feel? Swizzy, I want to start with you, bro. Anytime that you guys have performed well and the camera's been on you, you feel like a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. Those emotions flood through you, smile big. How does this moment feel right now?
It's feel amazing. I think I did the most mentality in our team. Like, I saw their face, our first game, and they say like, guys, lock in.
Lock in. Dude, and you said yourself, right, the fact that past times you've not been able to play with your actual teammates. The moment you get to play with your actual trio, you win the global championship.
Yeah.
Queasy, going all the way back to the Invitational, so close to claiming that first place spot, but you walk away in second. Last year, this same situation happens, and finally, you claim your rightful spot as a global champion. What has that journey been like starting all the way back in 2022?
I don't even know. I mean, from Invitational, literally like before game 12, I said, guys, please, let's not make it the same thing again. And I mean, we did it finally, so it's a crazy feeling.
Murstache, brother, I mean, you've been hearing it for 2 days now. They see you on screen, this crowd goes crazy. Did that push you forward? Did that make you more nervous?
Питър Бот е на 15 видеоутърс. Той е на или на 18 вече, и той или на 17.
And because it meant so much for us, I think gave me confidence at least the first day. So yeah, I want to thank to everyone who came here and supported us.
All right, we got to talk about essentially the winning
На
moment for
15-то
you guys
място
in
поможе,
game
да.
11. I want to know what was going through the comms, whose idea was it, and how were you able to execute it?
Basically, half break, we went to VOD review, we watched zones, we were figuring out, because day one, our game plan was to get medal in bunkers. Day two, the bunkers were gone. 2 of the games we ran for it, they got taken before we could get there, and kind of messed up our game. And after I watched the VODs, we were supposed to go Foxy, but I said if it pulls the same, I saw Vanya tanking like Medmiss and Storm, and then padding. So I try to like go towards him and wait for him to pad and kill him out the air. That was the plan, but yeah.
I mean, obviously it worked out in your favor going for second place right there. Queasy, that is why you are regarded as one of the best IGLs in the world.
I mean, and look, Queasy, I don't know why you're down on yourself right now. I mean, Swizzy Murstache, this guy's been your IGL, and he's not giving himself the props that he rightfully has earned. I saw you walk up to that trophy and shed a tear. I saw you smile big when you lifted it. Brother, you're a global champion, and not only that, you got EU their first global championship title right here, right now. Leon, make some noise for Swizzy, Queasy, Murstache! Forever in history, you guys have made a moment in Fortnite. Thank you guys so much. We're gonna let you guys go. Take this trophy, get out of here, go celebrate global champions. Congratulations again. You can leave your headsets here. Get out of here, guys.
Так, хората, беше самото ключ, надявам се ви харесва, не забравяйте Саки Ивчо в Item Shop. Чао, чао!